tough acting, tenactin.
Yep. Man, was that Madden that used to do that?
When you said boom, that's what reminded me. I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking about Boom Goes the Dynamite.
You know what tomorrow is?
Tomorrow's the...
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's your wrestling match.
No.
AXE?
That's the 30th of
AEW?
October.
Oh.
You're not even close. No, it's the Mothman.
Mothman?
Mothman's this way. In fact, it's
Really?
already started. It's underway right now.
Wow. I had no idea.
The luminaries of the paranormal world are convening in Point Pleasant as we speak.
I feel like you're very fuzzy.
Thank you.
My theory is that the
What up,
camera
y'all?
is smudged.
Oh man, look at this. We get all the luminaries. They're coming in. Pixels is here. Steve, Barkbit, Edvin, Duncan. It's a who's who. It's a cornucopia of talent.
How often do you get oily fingers?
I didn't touch it.
No, I mean, my fingers are just constantly
Ricky
oily.
DeRoche is here. What's up, guys?
Hey, hey, hey.
Yeah. All my favorites.
All my rowdy
Really?
friends are here.
Are they rowdy?
You know, one thing I was noticing about Neil,
Yeah.
I noticed a lot of things about Neil's studio.
Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of cool junk back on the shelves.
He's got a lot of junk in the trunk.
What? You saying Neil's got a big ass? Is that what you're saying?
I guess I didn't mean it that way.
Because I was stunned. I was as stunned as I've ever been.
Now we're leaning.
Real media. Hey, we're trying, man. We're hoping to move up to shoutcast levels of clarity.
See, I just want to be a little bit lower. It's because of...
I get so upset with these wires. What is this thing caught up on? This is plenty long enough over here. Okay, do we look like level?
Yeah.
Okay, can we see the table or do I need to move it down?
I can't see the table.
Okay.
I can see the table.
Okay.
Jason, what up, yo? My favorite hoser.
You know, he's getting ready to go out of town. He's been working on...
Picard here.
He's been working on some work project. He's single-handedly opening a children's hospital.
Wow.
Over in Saskatoon.
Saskatoon.
Yeah.
What a great place just to say.
I know. It's like Mesopotamia.
It's like Sarsaparilla.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
It
Or
is.
Walla Walla.
There's a lot of...
What kind of booze are you drinking there, by the way?
This is a...
That's a very aromatic brew.
well, it's got a lot of hops in it.
Is it?
This is a hazy, juicy IPA. That's what it's called, hazy, juicy.
Yeah. College beer.
It's college beer all the way. No, college beer is Keystone Light, man.
Well, you got a good point.
Okay.
we can do
Figgy,
like-
you've got about an hour to try out Panza and post your review in the Discord.
We can be like the guys at Pixel Gaiden. You can talk about how the beer tastes and talk about all these weird local breweries and crap.
Yeah.
And I can sit there going like this.
Look at this. I'm going to have to lock this stuff down because it's...
I always lock everything.
I know you do.
There's a reason, because I use that touchpad, and I can't tell you how many times I've been like,
I
got rid of that, by the way.
When you mouse over that, it's blue around. There's a new version of OBS, guys. We're just checking it out.
Am I blue? Remember that song?
Yeah, if I was blue, I was green, I would die.
No. Ain't these tears in my eyes telling you that song? Am I blue?
Is that Leanne Rimes?
No. What? I'm not talking
I think
to you.
that is.
Just do your thing.
There was one other thing I wanted to do. What was it?
I'm with the
Oh,
car.
yeah. I need to turn on a sharpness filter.
Akamawak?
I'm going to go to properties.
Aknomowak?
Yeah.
What's up,
You got it.
Ravi?
Hey, Ravi.
To watch Ravi's. Ravi's all over the place.
Yeah, I watched the heck
two
out of
his-
both his videos.
Yeah, I watched him and Neil, and then I watched who was the third fellow? I wasn't familiar with that guy.
He was like the John Marshall of that video.
Well, I mean,
He's kind of hung out in the background.
he did some stuff. But,
Come on, man.
And then I saw Robbie's, what if video.
Yeah.
I used to read this what if Marvel comics. It's the same thing. The Amiga.
Elseworlds.
No.
Is that not the same
it's
thing?
A whole different thing. Well, what's going on here?
Well, you think that looks better? I put a little sharpness.
What's with this?
Oh, that's the preview. This is the effects filter.
Oh, I never use that. I never use that. Oh, I see what you're doing.
Yeah. So there's a
So now we're
line
not
you must
centered
not
now.
cross. Which way do we need to go more towards me?
Well, look. See,
I don't know.
look how much space I got.
Well, yeah, but you.
And look how much space you got.
I want to have a little
Your
bit of the
arm's
guitar
off
in
the
there.
gimmick there. Well, I mean, what's more important, that machine or your legions of boat fans screaming your name?
Actually, this does let us have a little view of the blue bomber behind me. What's his name?
The Blue Demon.
The Blue Demon.
Blue Demon, yeah. I believe that's Blue Demon. You've got to be a real cool guy to wear a lucha mask and a fedora type hat
And smoking a pipe.
and pulling it off.
Look at that. Boom. He's the third guest on our show.
Yeah. I'm excited about this one, Boat.
Me too.
I'm
Me too.
excited about
You
this
know,
one.
I've been waiting to do this game forever.
Plus, I had a major discovery this week I didn't even know about. So I'm not.
Are you a father?
No, not that. I'm talking about game related.
Oh, okay.
I am a father.
You are a father.
Game related. Look at that.
That looks awesome. That needs to be our thumbnail.
That's
Be
just me.
leaning back like
And then
this.
me going duh with the big window coming out says I'm dumb.
Okay.
Oh yeah, news.
Yep, we got news.
Oh, did you see what our boy covered this week on the old Dreamcast-a-mania?
I pulled it up, but I haven't read it yet.
It was I don't need to read it because I know what it's about. So another one. He's just going. It's like he knows he's reading my mind about what kind of movies I like, or at least like to mock. Get over here. Bam. There it is.
Just you, Figgy.
Oh my God.
Simple and free.
Is
When was the last time?
Is it Leanne Rines?
No, that's
Well,
Chicago.
I'm using that's my boat maneuver.
No,
just say
Leanne-
some nonsensical crap.
Look up
and then,
Leanne
and then
Ri-
watch me go like, "What the heck's wrong with you?"
Look up
Boat?
Leanne Rhymes' biggest hit
I'm
right
not
now.
looking.
I'm looking
her
it up right now.
I'm not looking that up.
Get ready, everybody.
Why do I care about Leanne Ryan?
I'm pulling it up right here on the thing.
I don't read country. I do read country all the time. Big.
Leanne Rhymes' biggest hit. Get ready. Maybe that wasn't her after all. Yeah, Blue. There we go. Right there.
I didn't say she'd never covered the song.
Well, she made it famous.
No, she didn't. That song's been around for decades. Come on,
It's
Bo.
kind of like when Alien Ant Farm covered Smooth Criminal.
It's not like that. Although I did like that.
See?
What happened to those guys? They had like 2 songs and they were gone.
They were gone.
You ever played this game? Did you know there was a game of this?
Mortal Kombat?
No,
I have
Mortal
played it before.
Kombat. Big Trouble in Little China.
No, I didn't know there was a game. That movie is it's one of those films. It's sort of like the filmatic version of the Grateful Dead. For a long time, I didn't listen to the Grateful Dead because it sounded like a metal band.
Yeah.
And then it turned out that
It does. Now think about it.
And it
You
turns
win
out-
that one.
Yeah. And so, Big Trouble in Little China. Like I saw the cover and it's this guy with a big gun and stuff, and I was like, this is going to be some kind of Rambo violent thing. And then I watched it. And I was like, man, I love this movie, and it turned out to be great. Hello, Wildman 14.
I like it.
Yeah. All right, you ready to start the show?
He must be one of your boys.
He is.
Is he a wild man at school?
Probably.
I got it. And there's the bell.
Just keep hitting the table over and over again.
Oh, don't get mad at me. Did you see when we had the on ARG a couple weeks ago? We had the computer on our table, and I was like, okay, we got the computer on the table with the camera on top of the monitor, right? So what's Brent do? You're not out of order. I'm out of order. He's shaking it. So if you watch the video, it looks like ARG was filmed during the earthquake.
I was going to say that's how they used to do those Star Trek effects.
And so
Just
guess
shaking
what?
The camera.
We moved the camera to a stool. Had to move everything because Brent's too bangy.
You chose not to use the koozie tonight.
I didn't.
I don't know how I
wanted
feel
it,
about that.
but my Jedi powers aren't functioning tonight.
Honestly, I'll get it for you.
Yeah. How's your internet been recently?
Oh, it's been okay. I mean, it still goes out every day because my security cameras go out, and that alerts me.
Now let's do something we don't normally do before a podcast. Let's chart the series of events that will transpire. All right, so we don't forget anything.
Okay.
So we got your opening 20-minute political monologue.
Right. It's just down with Trump, 20 minutes.
All right. Or up, depending on your perspective.
True. Well, it depends on the week, really.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Now, then you're going to go over the Dreamcatcher stuff.
No, you do the Dreamcatcher stuff.
Yeah, but okay. We're going to go, and then we're going to go into
News.
the news, and then you're going to go into the game, right? This week's
All
game.
right, stop. We're already out of order.
Okay, go ahead. You tell me what you want to do.
Okay, monologue. It's just like SNL. Monologue.
Okay, yeah.
News. Because that's... No, it would be you first. Because
Dream-
I'm monologue, you're Dreamcatcher.
Dreamcatcher.
News, game.
I'm okay. I didn't realize we had our own parts. And
Well, I mean, who leads the dance? That's what I'm saying. Okay?
Uh-huh.
And then... videos.
And then announcement, and then we close it out with your tune, all singing, all dancing, rockets, thy legs that we're done.
That's why I left the space back here. That's for the Rockettes.
All right.
We're going to parade in here through the bathroom window.
I did wear my fishnets, so I am prepared.
Good.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for that. All right, here we go. Does that look okay? Does Aaron's shirt look weird? No,
What?
that
Look
was
at
just
that.
because it was.
Oh,
I was just
it's cool.
afraid that the sharpness filter was
That's
doing.
me. I found this in
playing
a
tricks with
box
it.
of stuff that I couldn't wear.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, now
I
you
found a
can wear
bunch
it
of
now.
great stuff that I couldn't wear. So
Now
yeah.
you're all slim and trim. You can
Yeah,
wear
well.
anything. Hey, Kate. All right.
Kate, anybody here seen Hysterical? No? Dadgummit. All right, I'm ready.
Okay. Wait a minute. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And this week, Aaron, we're going to talk about Panza Kickboxing.
Or Panza.
Or Panza. You said, I always thought it was Panza, but then you told me that you interviewed Mr. himself and you called him Panza.
No, I didn't tell you that. I've never met Mr. Panza.
Well, at any rate, what I always thought about the name Panza is that it sounds like Ponzi.
Like a Ponzi scam?
Yeah.
See, now I think of it in a different way, like Panzer. Like a Panzer tank.
I don't know what that is. Is
You know,
a
like
Panzer a tank?
Yeah, like a Panzer, and then his kicks hit like shells coming out of the front of the
Because
tank.
I know about Panzer Dragoon, that
Okay,
famous
yeah.
series.
Yeah.
But that's a dragon game.
I don't know what, I don't know where they get the name Panzer.
You're riding dragons there.
Well, I know that, but I mean, where's Panzer? Is Andre Panza in that game and he's got a fleet of dragons?
Now
That
we're
would be
talking.
something.
Yeah.
And he's savant kicking them as they drive by.
It's sort of like it's like a inverse Thanatos, where you're the villager and you're kicking the dragon as it goes by.
I feel like one of those mutual sequels coming on: Panzer Kickboxing and Panzer Dragoon.
Oh man!
Or he could fight the dragon.
Could you imagine how rare that game would be?
No, everyone would have that one.
That's true. It would be like the sequel that everybody owns, but the original's hard
I
to
like
come
it.
by.
Unfortunately, I don't think Panzer's gonna be making any more video games. I'll tell you why later. That's a teaser. Bro.
Now, tell me about your personal history with kickboxing. When did you first discover its joys and its sorrows?
Well, kickboxing for me, I remember there was a video that came out called "One Night in Bangkok." Remember that
Makes
song?
the joint start humming.
No. Wow, no. Anyway, it was from a fellow named Murray Head, and it was from a play. And in the video for this,
I know it's yeah. One night in Bangkok makes the joint start humming. There's the rap verse. Who, where, why, what, how much have you got?
well,
In the West, no, I just realized that's Pet Shop Boys. Sorry. They sound.
Murray
familiar.
Head's gonna come here and whoop your hiney.
They're almost the same.
Although really, your voice is not much worse than his. But anyway, there's a bit in the video where these two guys are boxing, and one guy hauls off and kicks the other guy in the head. And
Just straight on.
I remember thinking to myself, well, look at that. That's kind of wacky. But what I had seen was PKA, full contact karate, when I was younger. And I
Okay.
didn't even participated in full contact karate with hilarious results. And so I'd never seen kickboxing. And so sure enough, thank you, late night ESPN, I would see these guys doing kickboxing. And we'd also occasionally would get savate, the French boxing, the French martial arts savate.
How is French boxing different than kickboxing?
I can't tell you. I don't know it well enough to sit here and give you the particulars.
Yeah.
I will say in the back of the manual for this, there's a large section of the manual devoted to educating you on what this stuff is. So I'll give them credit on that. But anyway, kickboxing was a sport that you would see it late at night usually, because ESPN at this point was sort of desperate for, this is early days. ESPN's America's like sports channel.
Yeah.
And so you would see a lot of it there, and eventually PKA, full contact karate, sort of morphed into kickboxing, and so that sort of morphed into what was called K1, which was the Japanese promotion that promoted big-time kickboxing, probably the height of kickboxing on the planet. But there was always like Thai boxing, which I'm sure your wife's familiar with that.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever see any over there?
I've seen it on television. Sunday is the Muay Thai day on TV, and it's always on. But I've never been to a live match before.
What I like about Thai boxing is, of course, there's a lot of ceremony involved. I like the way the guys dress, and I like the fact that during the match there's a band playing or music playing the whole time. And these guys actually. Their moves often will be on beat, whether intentional or otherwise.
Right.
But that's the way they train.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
Now, are the Bloodsport movies kickboxing?
Their Bloodsport movies are based on what was called the Kumite, which was a underground boxing competition. It was basically like a UFC style, like different styles would get together allegedly. And it was that movie was based on a book written by a guy named Frank Dukes, who was at the time he had said he'd won the Kumite and he was like 187-0 or something like that. This is probably garbage. A lot of people have punched holes in this crap.
Fraudulent people in the world of martial arts?
Oh man, there's a guy that's got a channel devoted to like bull crap. It's called
Bullshido.
It's sort of like that, but there's a T in there, and he goes and it mauls these poor guys that come up with this crap. But Frank Dukes is one of them. But I will say, Andre Panza, a legitimate, real, actual kickboxer, which we'll get into him more when we get into the game. But yeah, so I've been watching kickboxing for probably 30 years.
Oh, yeah. So you're well versed.
On and off.
Well versed.
Well, amongst the other things.
In the art of kickboxing. How would a kickboxer do against an MMA guy?
Kickboxers have done MMA many times. In fact, almost all modern mixed martial artists train in Thai boxing, and you have to. It's the days of specialization are over. You have to sort of know how to do everything.
Yeah.
So there are plenty of guys that go over to Phuket, Thailand, and train there. Amongst all the many schools that are in that town.
I have been there before.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's it like over there? I always wondered.
Phuket is different than the rest of Thailand.
Yeah.
It's almost like Hawaii versus the rest of the United States.
Yeah.
It's very, very. Everybody goes there on vacation. The prices are the same or more as American prices, which is not the same as in Thailand, obviously.
Yeah.
But if you want to see sort of the highlights of everything Thai, it's the place to go. There's tons of beautiful resorts, tons of Muay Thai gyms. So you'd like it.
Yeah, I'd like to go there someday.
Yeah.
Maybe once you move back over there, I'll cruise on over.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll have you anytime.
Yeah, man.
All right, Aaron, let's talk about what Dreamcatch has been up to this week.
It's as timely as our topic was today. So Dreamcatcher has a little ditty here on the 8-bit versions of a game based on a film, a very popular film, at least over in these parts, called Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, I don't know if this movie is known outside of the United States.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know.
This was a movie, I believe John Carpenter did it. In fact, I know he did. And it is about a trucker who gets embroiled in this weird mystical battle between these warring Chinese factions in Little China, and it's a great movie.
Yeah,
it's played
fantastic.
for laughs, and it's a lot of fun.
Who's the lead in that? Kurt Russell?
Kurt Russell is the lead, and it's so I'm trying to think of what the guy name. I know his truck's called the Pork Chop Express or something like that. There's a lot of funny bits in it where there's one bit where a guy tries to chop a beer can in half with a cleaver, and there's a big thing about that. His character's always making these idiotic comments, and of course the famous line: they take this potion to give them like some kind of powers, and they're in this elevator and they're going down. And he looks around to his buddies, he goes, "I'm feeling sort of invincible." I'll never forget that. But so another movie where the Asian lead role is played by a non-Asian, which it's funny because it makes no sense in the film. I remember I was always like, "What's going on here? That chick's not Asian. What's happening? Why do they want her?" But they wanted her. Who knows why? Anyway, it's a great flick, and so I didn't even know there was a game based on it, but I should have, because every movie that has any sort of name has got a game based on it, on something. And so Dreamcatcher goes into detail. Of course, he has to break down the movie fully.
Scene by scene.
Yes, he's going to break it down fully. I mean, this is a long bit here. But if you're into Big Trouble in Little China, I suggest you give this one a whirl because that's a good flick. The game, I haven't played it, so I'm not going to make a comment on the game.
According to the guys in the chat, Big Trouble in Little China, big in the UK.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
I should have known.
Yeah.
It's funny, I bought the evil guy in the movie, the super evil magician. I bought his action figure and gave it to Chudley for Christmas a couple years ago. Yeah. He's a big fan of that movie.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's talk about what's been going on this week in Amiga news, Aaron. Amiga news.
There it is.
All right.
Did you know I was
I
waiting?
knew you'd done it. So these are just a couple 4 videos that we have to share. The first one comes from our boy, Amiga Love.
He's our boy.
He's our boy. This is a video about all the different Amiga keyboards. So according to him, the Amiga 2000 had every single variation of Amiga keyboard. So you can check out, he goes through all the differences. All the different switch mechanisms.
Look at that.
Yeah, I mean, like, that seems insane that he animated that himself, but maybe he did. He's Amiga Love after all.
He's got love.
He can do anything.
Love powers him.
Yeah. What do you think about that song?
What?
I haven't thought about Love Power in forever.
I don't even know that one.
Power.
I don't know that song.
I thought you were quoting that song.
No. Is that a real song or are you just making that up?
No, I'll play it for you later.
There's an Amiga Love song?
No, it's a song called Love Power.
Oh.
It's from the
I was
80s.
much more excited about the Amiga Love version.
No. But anyway, this is a lot of close-ups of a lot of keyboards.
Man, nothing gets me hotter than a sleek, sexy keyboard.
Absolutely.
And then they zoom in, brother. And man, when there are animated diagrams, I'm in.
When I'm
in the zone.
Just Tilda sends a shiver down my spine.
Woo. Good God Almighty! If there's a pound sign on that sucker,
it's over.
I ain't coming home tonight.
Up next, this is a triple threat. We've got Ravi Abbott. We got Stevens Auto Center.
He's selling cars.
This is over off the Ripley Fairplane exit in West Virginia. We've got Dan. Or not Dan. Yeah, Dan, but not Dan Wood. This is a different Dan.
Dan too.
We call him Bearded Dan.
Yeah.
And of course, Retro Man Cave himself.
I think Dan and Retro Man Cave are one of them is a doppelganger.
Yes,
the other one.
Yes, absolutely. Ravi has brought along his Amiga 4000. Look at this thing on the front of the 4000.
Yeah, my Amiga 4000 had a gimmick like that on it that said Video Toaster.
Oh.
It didn't look like that one. The one I had was like a tower and it had a little stripe on it. Yeah.
So this is towards the end of the 4000. They just started bundling in the toaster with it.
No, I don't think so. I think there was you had to buy the specific toaster version of it. Be my guess.
Okay.
I looked at that. I was like, man, look at that. It's a sweetie. I was just thinking about the Amigas that we got rid of, and man, if I'd known we were going to be doing this show, and I would have gotten back into Amiga so hard, I kept some of the stuff, but none of the big stuff. Gosh, I'm kicking myself now, but what are you going to do? Hindsight, right?
Yeah.
But I watched this. It was interesting. That's Ravi's computer he's had for a long time. Like I think he said his dad got it for him as his dad worked somewhere and had that. So I thought it was kind of neat. It's just as interesting as you think it is. With you got the couple of luminaries. I'm not familiar with Dan. I know Dan's associated with some sort of other show.
Okay.
But I don't know him, so I'm sure we'll see him around. He's made the big time now. So.
Yeah. All right, and it's Ravi Abbott mania here. Because he's put out another...
Welcome to the Retro Hour.
He's put out a video about... And it's funny because... we'll talk a little bit about my interview with Retro Man Cave, but we spent some time talking about the Ombre chipset, and here, lo and behold, a couple days later, Ravi puts out a video all about the Amiga that might have been.
Now listen, I'm not gonna not to undermine or counteract any opinions on the Ombre chipset, and I know I believe Mr. Pleasance has spoken about this thing too. Someone somewhere they were acting like this thing would rival like a PS2.
Yeah.
That I find a dubious claim.
Now
I know they said this would be as big a technological leap as the original Amiga was. It sounds great, but the PS2 was out a while after this, and that PlayStation 2 chipset was supposed to be a real wheeler dealer, as I recall. So if this is going to be on the level of that is... I don't know.
It's a tall order, to say the least. Ravi, he goes in, he basically covers all that we know about this thing, which is some, but not a whole lot. And he throws up some schematics that are very basic. You've got CPU and you got various leads.
Even you can understand these, boats.
Yeah. So
look, CD drive.
Right. Exactly. So I don't know. Do you think, if the Amiga, if the CD32 would have been like a PlayStation, do you think it would have beaten the PlayStation?
What? You mean if let's pretend that new chipset exists, okay, and it's in C3? Is that what you're saying?
Right.
No, because unfortunately, Commodore at that point would still be around, and I don't trust them to make anything work. Mm-hmm. They were stinking up the joint big time, and listen, the CD32 isn't a dud. It's a good little system.
Oh, it's a consoleized A1200.
They could have done something with that, but they didn't. And why? There's a couple reasons, but not the least of which is they were on their way out anyway. Mm-hmm. So now, if you're saying technologically, if a CD32 came out, like we're looking at here, a CD64 that had a PlayStation 2 like chipset that had that kind of power. And assuming you had another bunch of people to run Commodore, then absolutely. If you've got the technology, often you can do well. But a lot of times, and we've seen this, let's look at it. Me and Brent just did a show on ARG on the GameCube. Mm-hmm. Okay, the GameCube, from what we read, technically, it's got better, it should be a faster, better machine technically than the things that beat it. Mm-hmm. But it still got crushed. Why? Circumstances,
lack of third-party support.
Yeah, stuff like that. And so now, if you're a third party and Commodore rolls out with another console, you could be like, I'm going to hop on this one. Well, a lot would have to change for me to believe that Commodore could put out a winner.
Yeah.
Because they had so thoroughly and completely, they botched the Amiga almost from Jump Street. Mm-hmm. And if it wasn't for the fact that the Amiga was so awesome, it would have probably never gotten anywhere anyway in the first place. So the Commodore that brought out the C64 was not the same bunch that were steering the reins of the Amiga's future.
Absolutely.
So that's just me. Now, what do I know? But I'm not optimistic. Let's put it that way.
Next up, Aaron, 10-minute Amiga Retrocast, 10 Mark. He's back. And he's
was that your finger that did that?
It's just, I've got a thing that I do.
Good Lord.
He is talking about the SCSI to SD for your Amiga. Now, this is something
SCSI,
that I haven't heard anything about yet. I know you got your GoTech.
Yeah.
You got your various IDE to compact flash or SD solutions.
Yeah.
This is the first thing I've heard about the SCSI adapter. Now, do you know anything about this?
I knew these existed. I don't know anyone. Of course, none of my Amigas have a SCSI port on them.
Which Amigas did have a SCSI port?
Oh boy,
was it just the Tower Amigas?
Well, you could buy. I think it was third-party cards and stuff. I know, like I've owned an Amiga 500, a hard drive expansion that had SCSI on it. A couple of them, right? So, because there was a time.
Oh yeah, you're the thing that was over here with the House 500
right.
had a SCSI port.
There was a time, and SCSI's sort of still around. There was a time where SCSI was running neck and neck with IDE and SCSI had a rep for being faster, or maybe easier to set up or whatever. Before IDE sort of scooted out of the way. And I don't know. I'm no professional. I don't know if they use SCSI for stuff now. I don't know why they would use it already. I don't know. But SCSI was still a big deal back when the Amiga was still around. So there were plenty of expansions that have SCSI interfaces on them. And so if you've got one, now in terms of what computers shipped with one, obviously we know that the 600 and 1200 didn't. I think the Amiga 2000s, I think the hard drive versions had SCSI
Yeah,
in
the
them.
chat has already answered this for us. The 2000, the 3000.
Okay, thank you. Good. I thought the 2000. I wasn't sure about the 3000. So you've got a couple that came with them standard. Using the SCSI to what was a SCSI to SD, I can understand that. If you've got them, that's a good idea.
So that would give you theoretically faster load times than an IDE to SD solution, right?
No. I don't think so.
Okay. I
doubt it.
Okay.
I'm sure you're limited by the. I'd be surprised if it gave you exponentially faster than the IDE. I mean, I know SCSI, maybe it would. I don't know. It's something I haven't really looked into, to be honest with you.
Okay. Well, if you're at all curious, make sure you check out 10-minute Amiga Retrocast's video on the subject.
Yeah. It's interesting because I know there are plenty of people out there that have SCSI, and there are probably a lot of people that are still running their classic Amigas with SCSI that they've had this whole time. They just kept, so a card solution. I mean, those hard drives are getting old. They're got to go eventually.
And our last story, Aaron. We're going all the way to Norway.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
Oh, I know these guys. Yeah. He's speaking my language right there.
Just playing a little bit of that for you right there.
We were just talking about this on the Discord.
Yeah. Retropodden is back. The world's #1 retro gaming podcast in Norway is back with a new episode, and all I can say is that it contains some talk about Prince of Persia, because those are words that I can understand.
It's so funny you'd bring this up, because we were just talking in Discord about, I said, listen, where's the translated version of this bad boy? And so someone had brought up the possibility of uploading this to YouTube and then using their auto translate to listen to the thing.
Yeah.
So maybe that's something we could try out.
Well, I've listened.
I can't understand a single word.
You may be surprised to hear this, but I've listened to this podcast before.
Oh yeah?
And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Just listen.
Because it's soothing.
It's soothing, man.
Did you do it at the sack or whatever?
This is just like whenever I need to calm down and just chill, I put this on in the background, and like when I'm cleaning down here, it soothes my soul. I don't really want to hear it in English. Some things, just like Japanese pop, if you translate it, it loses something.
Now, some of our friends are like, was it Leaf that does? Who's involved in this?
Leaf is involved in this. Now, I learned today that we've been saying his name wrong all these years.
It's not Leaf?
It's Leif.
No kidding.
Like a potato chip with an F at the end.
I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. Yeah. Leif. All right.
Yeah. So, but anyway, Leif is in charge of this, and he does a real awesome job with it.
So our good buddy, we've known Leif for a long time. He's #1 in all of Norway.
Yeah.
Astounding.
It is. It's astounding, but in a way, it's not, because it's so well done.
I bet if we could hear this podcast, we would shrink away and feel pathetic at its side.
Yeah, we'd
because
probably
no
just
one's
hang it
listening to
up.
us are going to sleep. I can tell you that. Hey, y'all doing? It's us for some Amiga. No one wants to hear that as they're trying to
drift off into dreamland.
We're in their nightmares. Amiga. Booze. That's what you'd hear. And then you're singing. That'd wake up anyone. Holy smokes.
That would. All right, Aaron, that's going to do it for this week's Amiga News. Let's jump right into Panza Kickboxing.
Oh, man. I'm not going to lie to you, Boatster. I've been pushing this one for a long time. If you'll recall, before we were back picking these ourselves, I was like, come on, let's get some Panza going. We never got no Panza. So now it's Panza time. I'm very excited about this one.
And I will say that we are borrowing some footage from our buddy Life School, one of the head honchos over at Lemon Amiga this week. Frequent commenter on our videos. So thank you, Life School.
I love those guys. Unfortunately, I failed out of that school, unfortunately. So,
well, you can always go back and you can get your GED in the school.
Right now I'm in Reform Life School. I'm trying to get that going again. So, let's talk about Panza Kickboxing, one I definitely had played before. First released in 1990 on 2 big floppy disks, published by an outfit called Futura, and developed. It was developed by Futura, and it was published by Futura / Loracell. How do we pronounce that? Is that
Loracell.
Right? Loracell. Now, Loracell.
Oh, no, I'm
see
sorry.
Right there it is, Loracell.
I think that might be Laura Chill, like a CH.
Really? Chill in there. I don't know anything about French, but it's funny because Laura Chill, I was just telling Bo, we've covered them like 2 weeks running on ARG because we covered a French computer, the Auric, we covered the Auric, and then we covered the MO5 out of France, the Thompson, and both weeks, Laura Chill, whatever they're called, did some of the games we worked on. So sure enough, they did this one too. Big players in France, big players. So let's talk about this developer. On the Amiga, these guys worked on a game called Advanced Destroyer Simulator. They did a game called Best of the Best, which we'll talk about later. and a game called D-Day. So these guys are basically doing, it's like 2 war games, and some kickboxing.
Yeah.
Let's put that together. The coder on this was a guy named Nicholas Massonat. Now, I mentioned this guy. He did a lot of stuff, but he did a game called Golden Eagle, a game called Moon Blaster, and I believe we actually played this game, Pinball Magic. Do you remember playing that a long time ago? I don't know if we even filmed anything, but I remember we both tried it out. It's a pinball game on the Amiga.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Well, we did a lot of this. Remember that we went to a pinball phase.
Yeah, our first 7 episodes, 6 of them were pinball episodes.
Yeah. And the musician on this, which this actually has one nice little tune. I think it's only got the one tune, Bo, at the beginning. Is that Michael or Mikhail or Michelle Wanogradov? He did tons of the stuff for Laura Schill, including a game called Turbo Cup on the Amiga. This is a game that keeps coming up again because this is a game that all these computers share in common. So one of these, you've got to try that one out.
Yeah.
So let's see which one has the best version of it. This was put out on the OCS, works on the ECS, works on pretty much everything. So it's old school, and got released on I couldn't believe this the amount of systems this was out on boat. You got your Amstrad family. You've got your Atari ST. You've got the PC Engine, which that one I had played. Believe it or not, this had a TurboGrafx.
No,
release.
I played it this week.
Oh, really? The TurboGrafx? So you got to tell us about that. And was of course also had a DOS release, which I should have played
release.
that. CGA, EGA, and VGA. Man, CGA Panza sounds like a dream. Sounds like a dream to me. So, what is Panza Kickboxing? Well,
So what are we going to do here? Is it going to be Panza or Panza?
I'm going to go with both.
Okay.
I don't have to decide.
You got to make a choice. Listen, man. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood.
Let's talk about Andre Panza. All right, Panza. I'm going with Panza. So who is this guy?
It's made all the difference.
Right? Let me tell you something. The guy's name was on the game, and I thought to myself, I'm going to look up this guy's record. I'm going to get some details on him.
See, I would have never known that this was a guy.
Yeah.
I just thought it was like Panzer.
What do you mean? He's in the opening. He's in the load screen, and his name is splashed all over this thing.
I didn't put 2 and 2 together.
You didn't read the manual either, did you?
No, I read the manual. I skipped the intro.
You didn't see the part where they talk about how great he is?
Listen, man, we've had to wade through so many novellas to get to the real instructions. I've become jaded.
So I thought I'm going to find lots of information. It's going to be awesome. Well, find the information on Andre Panza, no easy task. Okay, I'm going to tell you something. I had to dig deep. So, just as a quick, because it's worth mentioning here, because it's a funny story. So, Andre Panza he's a kickboxer that was born in 1959 in Strasbourg, France. That's his hometown, and that's where he has his operations out of. Okay, you ever heard of
Strasbourg? Sounds like it's a picture for the Nats, but I think it's also a city in Germany.
Yeah, that's what I thought. This is in France.
Interesting.
Confirmed. Okay. So in the manual it mentions this, and they've got it written here. He's a world triple champion and French boxing Europe double champion.
Holy cow!
All right,
that's exponential.
He's also the international coach and tech manager of a league in kickboxing and the winner of the Golden Katanas in 1989-90. Do you know what those are?
That's when that's a Highlander deal.
Right. So yeah. He trained his son, whose name is Jean Bryce. And that was his student. Now, of course, who knows what this kid went on to do, but I know he was competing. He was a junior champion in kickboxing and Thai boxing. He also trained his daughter, Angelina Panza, and I know she went on to fight professionally too.
Wow, so this is a whole family.
Andre Panza was also champion of Savate, Judo, and free fighting. He's the 6-time world champion of kickboxing, the 2-time world champion of French boxing, again, whatever that is, and 1-time world champion of full contact. At the time of the writing of this, when I found this information, he was a 4th-degree black belt in Judo. He's 1-0 in MMA, so he had 1 MMA fight. And he was active into the 90s, okay? So he's got a gym that's featured in the game called the Panza Gymnastique in Strasbourg, France. If you look on the side of the ring when you're fighting, you can see it says Panza whatever.
I think that was another clue to me that this might be a place or a thing and not a guy.
No, it's a guy.
Yeah.
It's a guy. It's an absolute. So I found an interview with this guy in French. So I had to do some translating here.
I'm sure you did it by hand with a paper dictionary.
Oh, I did. Thank God for that. Thank God for lots of loose leaf paper. So they asked him about the game, right? And he said, "Listen," he goes, the game was the first game dedicated to kickboxing and was top of the software, all right? And he said it was a great pleasure to work on it, but here's the big part. The company I worked for later screwed me and didn't use screwed on the royalties flowing and reopening the game under a new name. And he goes, I prefer to fight at the time than to earn money. So he basically went to war with him, but he didn't get any money. All right, so I'll get into what happened there later, but he got screwed by these people, and I'll get into that. So the game was in development for 2 years, and the programmers, according to the information I found, the programmers actually worked with Panza, and all the moves you see digitized are Panza doing the moves.
Well, I can believe it.
Yeah, so that's Panza. So all the little different characters, everything in the game that's a fighter, that's Panza. Okay, so that's pretty slick. And I don't, as far as I know, Panza's still around. Oh, one more keynote about Panza. When I was doing research for this, Panza has a song. It's on YouTube.
Is he singing the song?
He sings the song. Now I posted it in the Discord, but when we put this up, I'll link it off the video. But Panza's song, it was described as awful amongst the Discord crowd. But I thought that was great. And of course, on the album cover of the song, there's a chick there, and then there's Panza in his outfit with his belt. You got to have the belt.
The triple-double belt.
Something tells me that Panza just rolls around Strasbourg with the whole belt, with multiple belts on.
So Panza's still among us.
As far as I know, he is still alive. I mean, the information on this guy was surprisingly light. And trust me, just to find out what I did, I had to really dig deep.
Well, here's the thing. Here's my personal opinion, is that the information about Panza probably is light in English. If we can somehow search the dark web, otherwise known as the non-English web.
I searched as much French stuff as I could.
Yeah.
And most of what I found
a lot of that stuff is hard to find.
I could not find his current record, except for his MMA maker. But I mean, a lot of things I saw about Panza were people bragging to have beaten him. His name was so revered.
Sure.
It's like, crap, I beat Panza. Wow, big deal. So this guy was no scrub. Now, the funny thing about that was when I researched this game, I saw the comment made over and over that people at the time couldn't figure out why this guy got a game. They're like, who's this guy? Like Panza, he's not that big a deal. So I don't know if he hadn't. I mean, I'm assuming that people just didn't know much about kickboxing and said that. As opposed, I mean, who would you put in there?
Right.
Who's the most famous kickboxer you know?
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Right, and did he kickbox or just guessing?
No, wasn't he in Best of the Best? Or Bloodsport? Sorry,
but, I mean,
Bloodsport?
those are movies. I mean, an actual competing kickboxer. Who's the most famous one you know?
Oh, I don't know any.
Okay, exactly.
Yeah.
So if I said Bill Smith is the world's most, it's Bill Smith's kickboxing. You just have to accept it, right?
Yeah, you would.
So there you go. So
Blind faith.
that's just a guess. So let's get into the actual game. So that's all about Panza. So in this game, it's a pretty straightforward game. You are tasked with basically a kickboxing career. You can pick a pre-made guy, and there's a window that comes up that has a menu on it. All right, the menu in this thing's horrible, okay, in my opinion. So you've got to sort of figure out what in the heck's going on with this menu. On the main menu, there's two pictures, two different fighters. You can select if you're going to fight them. You can select which fighters you're going to fight, and you can go down to match. Those are your main bits. Now, and we'll talk about the extra stuff in a minute. But the main bulk of the game is the actual event, the fight. You are one of two kickboxers. You've got a blue pantsed kickboxer and a red pantsed kickboxer. No matter which character you pick in the game, the character on the screen during the fight looks exactly the same.
Yeah, well, it's so zoomed out that they can get away with it.
Right, and so it's not like, say, Street Fighter, where there's a chick and there's a big Russian. It's not like that. These are two identical fighters with different pants.
Right.
Then you begin the fight. You're fighting in a standard ring, like a boxing ring, and you fight and there's a little chubby French ref that's in there, and then that's it. You start the fight. The moves in the fight are done. Of course, the Amiga has one button. In fact, a lot of these systems just have the one button. So what they did was they mapped these maneuvers in a very cunning way. If you move left and right on the joystick without the button down, your guy will move left or right. Right? If you pull down without the button down, your character will basically do a move. Any direction you go without a button, there'll be a move done. Okay. Actually,
Well, no, except
if you
for left or right.
or pull down the button where he'll block, sort of block,
Yeah.
I guess, or pull
I'd
back.
call that a maneuver, though.
Yeah. Otherwise, every point on the joystick is open for a maneuver. And so if you hit if I hit diagonal back with the button, that's a move. If I hit diagonal right with a button, that's a move. If I hit diagonal without a button, that's a move.
Right.
And these are a ton of different kickboxing moves. And you're having a kickboxing match, complete with the ref breaking up lockups and the ref calling for a stoppage of the fight when an opponent knocks down, or when he falls down, or when he's knocked out. The ref counts everything you would expect to see in a normal standard kickboxing match. The presentation of the actual fights is nice. There's really two arenas, really. You've got your, basically, it's the same arena, but there's one version where you're a scrub and a loser fight, and there's one dude watching. And then there's another arena where it's full and the crowd's cheering, and the lights are on. It's much cooler. Your health in this game I think this is pretty clever. Is there are spotlights above each side of the ring, and the more you get hit, the dimmer your lights will get, and eventually the light will go out.
Somebody actually punches your lights out.
Yeah,
in this game.
I think that's clever. And then when your lights all get real low, you're in real danger of being knocked out. That's pretty much the actual event. Now, I got more to say, but let's hear from you. I think me and you had played this maybe once or twice back before.
We've played it on successive
Right.
Amigathons.
Yeah, so you had some experience going in. Give us your thoughts.
Okay. What do you want me to tell you about what I think about the whole game?
Yeah,
okay.
whatever you want to say.
Okay. Well, this is an impressive game that's let down by some significant flaws. The action part of the game is quite good. The fighting part of the game, the control scheme, this game does more with less successfully than almost any other fighting game I can think of. In terms of I know what I'm doing to get the move that I want. Because like you said, they literally map each move to a direction with or without the button. This game did remind me a little bit of Lionheart. Because the way that you have to hold down the button and then push a direction is exactly the same the combat works in Lionheart. You can't give me that look because you know I'm right.
No, I don't agree with
It's
that.
exactly the same as Lionheart.
This is nothing like Lionheart. I mean, I can say, okay, yeah.
To swing your sword, you push the button in a direction. To punch or kick, you push the button in a direction.
There are no similarities game-wise. There's just
Well, of course not. Lionheart's a horrible game, and this one's great.
Don't start with me, Bo. There's one control element that they share, but otherwise there's no similarity.
I'm talking about the controls.
There's one aspect of it.
That's the only aspect. That is the control of the game.
But in Lionheart, if you say hold diagonal up, you don't do a move. I mean,
yeah, you do. You jump.
No, but you're not if you're using two buttons. You don't. But you're missing my point.
No,
here.
you're missing my point.
I mean,
and my point is that I'm right and you're wrong.
Okay. Go ahead, please. Continue with your assessment.
Thank you.
Even though you're wrong.
I don't like the fact that when you're fighting, each move that you do doesn't impact your opponent's life. Like, for example, there's a sweep. And you can sweep this guy till the cows come home, and it's not going to make any difference. Okay? In my mind, a fighting game, any blow you land on your opponent should even marginally affect his health. And so while I think the lights thing is really cool, I think it's an inventive way to do a life bar. I don't think that the way that your hits impact the lights is not cool. It's not good. And maybe this is just me being bad, but I felt like I always landed more hits than my opponent, but my opponent's hits were always much more devastating than mine. And that leads me to the other fault of this game, and that is the programmability of the moves. Okay, I had the instructions out, and I had the screen up, and I still couldn't figure out what was going on. What they should have done was just made it simpler. They should have just said, okay, use your mouse and click on the direction that you want. Now use your mouse and click on the move that you want, and then hit OK. The way that they do it all with the joystick. No, it's not all with the joystick, because you got to use keyboard too. I was never able to figure it out. And what I learned from this playthrough that we're watching right now is the most devastating moves are not the ones that are by default programmed to your fighter. For example, this sort of axe kick that you see this guy doing on the video we're watching right now, that's not a default move, and that's one of the strongest moves in the game. So you're sort of hampered by default, because a lot of people, I'm sure, played this game without ever going into that programmable mode. So, in conclusion, this is another game without background music. It's horrible. This game begs for a pumping soundtrack, a la Street Fighter II, Mortal Kombat. The ref, while comical, gets annoying real fast. His little whoops that he gives, I got real tired of that real quick. Comparing this game to the TurboGrafx game, the TurboGrafx outclasses the Amiga version in graphics. When you watch the guys in idle animations, they're bobbing and weaving in a way that they don't in the Amiga version. This game is actually, it's much closer to the Genesis version, although the Genesis version does away with the lights being put out and gives you just normal kind of globes, but it's much more in line with the Genesis version, which is funny because the TurboGrafx is the least powerful of the three, yet it looks the best. So, is this one of the best fighting games on the Amiga? Yes, without a doubt. I had a whole bunch of fun playing this game. I think it's very strategic. When you land a blow, it feels like you've landed a blow. It's beautiful. The graphics are well done. It's that Prince of Persia, very well animated style. But it's not perfect.
Okay. I agree with some of what you said.
One more thing.
Yeah.
The fighters, when you're selecting your fighter, and when they basically just swap the faces for that's horrible and comically bad.
I agree with that. And the menus could be easier to navigate. They're actually, like, one thing that I think is amusing is, why do you have to hit the button to see the physical stuff pop up from? Because they just have that listed on the picture. Stuff like that. The menus are stupid. Now, I'm going to address some of your concerns here. Maybe I can explain why you are feeling that way.
Okay.
When you start fighting, how many fights did you successfully win?
None.
Okay, I'm going to explain why. When you start fighting, you are outclassed, okay, and you have the ability to go to the gymnasium and train. And did you do that at all?
I did, but I did not. I'm not what you call a master trainer.
Right.
I was unable to skip the rope. I was able to lift the weight for a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
And when the reflex test.
Yeah.
I was never sure if I was hitting that thing.
I will say that is one failing. Now, the way these exercises work, and I had to go to the manual. It's funny, I've played this game for years. I've never understood exactly how they work, and I'm still not great at them. But to do the jump rope, you sort of waggle the joystick back, left and right in sort of a rhythmic way. To do the weightlifting, you basically have to spin the joystick around.
Oh,
right?
okay.
And then to do the...
was that in the docs?
It was.
Okay.
But I mean, it's very stupidly written in the docs. The docs are obviously by the same guy that came up with the menu system. and to hit the targets, you have to... And you're not close enough to actually feel like you're hitting them. So there's a flaw there. I'm also going to contend that the reason mouse support isn't in this is strictly for a conversion. This is your class... I mean, and we saw this a lot on the Amiga. In games where they wouldn't let you use the keyboard to type in your name, stuff like that. It was coming through. It was passing through. You know, it's like, here's the Amiga version as we pass on to the Genesis.
Yeah.
So I think there's that. The face is not changing again. That's no good either.
Yeah, that's horrible.
The menus where you actually go to your options to actually. You have to go to options to rename a fighter, and then you have to go to moves to change the fighter's moves. All stupid and all weird. You also go to the options menu to set how many rounds you're going to use. But I mean, it goes for every fighter, until you change it back. The menus could be structured in a more logical manner.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Now the moves. One of the things that make this game very different from most fighting games is the ability to program in your kickboxer's moves, and it's vital, in fact, as far as I would say. Now, it looks daunting when you load up that screen, but it's actually brain dead simple. It's real simple. On the right hand side of the screen, it's got two joystick setups, one with the button down and one with it out, and around the button settings are letters. and all you do is just move the joystick to the picture of the move you want, and then you hit the button as to where that move goes. That's all there is to it. At the end, there's a save button, and you save. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, I mean, I was yeah.
But I'm not going to chastise you. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
It's not immediately obvious.
And I wasn't.
Right.
I guess because whenever I hit save, I felt like I did it right. But then when I went into the fight, I wasn't able to do the things that I thought I put in there.
When you hit save, you hear this sampled voice, and he goes, "Hubba!" I don't know what he says. Maybe it's in French. At first, I thought, I was like, "What is this?" It sounded like it went all saw, and I was like, "That doesn't make any sense." But it didn't. It says something. I don't know what. But it's once you understand. I mean, it's actually a good way to do it. Now, could they have put the mouse in there? Absolutely. But again, passing through. The music doesn't bother me that much, just because it's a realistic fighting game. I don't see where Street Fighter music would necessarily. Listen, music's always. I'm not going to sit here and say you're wrong. Music's always a nice addition. If you don't want it, you can turn it off. All right. Should they have done some music? Probably. Okay. I cannot fight you with that either. The menu system overall is just not very good. And it's taken me quite a while. For one thing, we had a PAL version of this, so me and Brent for years couldn't see all the menus, which made it much worse. You think you got it bad now. Play this on a machine that didn't have PAL.
You can't see the lower 2/3 of the screen.
So we just had to sort of guess where the thing was. Now, once you start playing this game and going through it, it's actually quite fun. And the reason you had trouble at the beginning is, number one, you didn't train. And two, the maneuvers, you're talking about this maneuver being more devastating. That's not necessarily true. And the sweep, knocking a guy down with 90x damage, a lot of the moves in this are strategic. That sweep is often used to get a guy off of you that's flurrying on you, right? And it's which is exactly the way it's used in actual modern kickboxing. It's a get off me sort of move, right? Certain moves may do more damage. I don't have a guide here that says like this. There's not a whole lot on this game, so I don't know if certain moves are weighted. I don't think, just from playing it so much, I don't think they were. But it's not. But they certainly looked more devastating, and the ranges are nice. And since so many moves have long and short range, I mean, building your character is, and in my opinion, is intricate to actually enjoying this game. And I should mention that if you've got 512 meg or less, you can't even that option isn't there. You have to have a certain amount of memory or more. And on some of the console stuff, that option's not there either. Okay, so not everyone got the build a guy thing, and without that, the game is not as good. You've got 55 moves to choose from in this game, and you're slotting 13, which is a goodly amount of moves, and they are vital to your fighting style. Like, I like to work inside, so I use uppercuts. I use that sweep kick you were talking about a lot. When a guy gets too close, I need him to back off, or if he's flurrying on me, I'll use it. I also like real long distance moves, because it moves me inside real quick. It's all about your fight style. And I'll tell you that without programming the initial fighter, I didn't have nearly as much success, because when you program the fighter, you become intimate with where the moves are.
Yeah.
And it makes a lot of difference. The gymnasium is also a dud. I didn't like the way it was done. Gymnasium stuff in games like this is sort of standard, and it was lazy. So the music lazy, the menu's lazy, the way it's illogically set up is lazy. The character pictures are lazy. All that's true. But it's forgivable because the game is so excellent in terms of, in fact, the tournament mode lazy too, where you have to just go and pick your next opponent.
Right. There's not even a grid.
Right. Now, I did write down, there were some built-in characters here, and I thought this was interesting just because of the way that they've got these. Listen to these. You fight these characters when you start a match. A lovely French girl, they call her the pom pom girl in the book. She has a circle she holds up with something in it.
It's the round girl, right?
But when you lose, there's something in that circle, right? Now when you win, when you lose, it shows like a first aid kit, right? When you win, there'll be something in that circle, and what that is the title you just won. Everyone in this game has some sort of title, and you can collect them.
It's
as
just
you
like
go through.
wrestling.
So the first guy, Dom Week, he's the New York City medal champion. Okay. The next guy, CB Rocky, he's the California State gold medal champion. Then you got Fred Allen Teddy, the UK champion cup holder. And there's a cup, right? Then you've got Aldo Casanova, the European. These names, he's a European Cup champion. And here's my favorite: for the United States East Coast Champion Cup champion, Turbo Diesel Panther.
And he's our local hero.
And then you've got Bulldo Man, the West Coast champ, Marvel Kick, the U.S. belt champ, and then Andre, world belt champ. Now, I looked at these characters, by the way, and I think some of these are based on real fighters. Like, I'm pretty sure that Marvel Kick is based on a guy named Superfoot Wallace, but I can't be 100% sure on that. And I think Turbo Diesel Panza is based on somebody, I couldn't remember the guy's name.
Diesel the wrestler?
No, this predates Diesel by some time, I think. Now, so overall, before I move on, I love the game, but it definitely has flaws. I'm not going to say here it's like the best game ever. They screwed up a lot of stuff. All right, that could have been better. Now, I didn't know about this until I started researching this. There's a game out there called Best of the Best Championship Karate. Okay, I'd heard of this on other machines. Okay, I didn't realize that the Amiga got a port of this. Did you know the Amiga had a port? I found one video of it on YouTube. I'm going to be making one, I might add. And this is from the same outfit. And what this, from my understanding is, I just found out about this the other day, was that this was sort of an updated version of Panza.
Oh, okay.
Now, I looked at it. It looked pretty much identical with one major exception. Any mention of Panza on it is gone.
So it's sort of like when they re-released Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, just without Mike Tyson.
And so when Andre mentioned that he gotten screwed, that's what they did. They re-released this game and didn't cut him in.
Sure.
And keep in mind, he was in all the animations, and he's, from what I read, he's still in the game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how many stories of game development where people have gotten screwed have we heard?
Yeah.
It's all the time.
And here's something you might find interesting. This one got a release on the Game Boy, the NES, the Super NES, and the Genesis. So there's a lot of... and that's why I'd heard of it. And also, as I recall, there was a movie called Best of the Best that was out about that time. It was like a karate movie.
Yeah.
So I thought it was interesting. But, overall, it's a great game. It's fun to play 2 players. It's great. But you have to be prepared to figure out how to make your character. And you've got to squeeze enjoyment from the fighting system, because there's little added enjoyment to be had from any additional stuff that they could have added, like more fun modes or anything like that. So,
what I would have liked to have seen is a Final Fight style mini game where you beat up a car, or something like that. Or is that Street Fighter where you beat up a car?
There's nothing in here. When you've got a system like this, there are opportunities to do some other interesting fun stuff.
The training mode is cool. It's a cool idea.
It just stinks. I mean, it stinks. And I finally figured out what I was doing, and it's just, most of those training modes aren't very fun. They're very rare.
They're about as fun as training in real life.
Listen, you've got to, have they ever played track and field or something? Just kind of look at what they did. You could do something like that with boxing. You could punch birds out of the sky or plates or something. Something fun. Not like, I'm going to lift a weight. Here, waggle your... It's added on. It's tacked on stuff, which is that's what it is. So, again, I like it. I give it a thumbs up, but I can understand why people would get annoyed with it. And as simple as the move setting is, it's not simple when you just load it up. You look at it like, by God, what am I doing? It looks complex.
Yeah.
It's really not, but it looks complex. I had a look on... to see some reviews on this thing. Reviews were sort of all over the map here. Lemon gives this a 7.96. Amiga Action gave it an 87. And Amiga Computing didn't even rate it. I don't know what happened there. AIA UI, which I think is
Amiga International.
74%. They sort of didn't like it that much. CU Amiga, 82%. I looked on eBay. In fact, I almost bought this boat. I almost bought it. You can get this plus another game. I saw it up there for $20.
You should just buy every game we review.
No, I couldn't afford it. But I do like it so much that I almost bought it. But I mean,
this game did get an NTSC release.
Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I mean, this was in America. This box version of it. So, it's funny doing this review. because I really have rose-colored glasses about this game. I really love it. I still love it. I mean, I had so much fun playing it. I moved up the ranks pretty readily. I hadn't lost much. But the screw-ups in it are infuriating.
Yeah.
And listen to you get real aggressive about it. I mean, you're not wrong. That's why you're not wrong about the issues that it has. It's a shame.
I think what gets me is they spent so much time making the animations and the actual fighting part of the game good. Could you have not taken 1/10 of that time and put it into just even a mediocre menu system?
Well, if you think about it, I think it was Marvel vs. Capcom 3 or what. It was one of the Capcom fighting games. Very similar situation. It came out with an incomplete. The game was there, but there was all the add-ons. The tournament weren't involved. The menus were crap. So I mean, I think so many times these guys lose sight of the little things that make the game have more replayability, and especially with a game like this where every fighter is identical, so there's not a whole lot of variance. You really need to have a lot of extra stuff to spice it up a little.
Yeah. We did get some reviews on Discord. If you are a Patreon supporter of Amigos, you can join our Discord server and post your own review. Matthew, we're going to start with Graham. Graham W. Vebke says, I think this is possibly one of the best fighting games on the Amiga. I normally don't compare Amiga games with the console version, but I'm very familiar with this game on the PC Engine. And the Amiga game plays just as well. Great animations and art. Great depth of gameplay, and creating your own Kickboxer offers even more replay value. 9 out of 10. Matthew Perron says, one of my favorite Amiga games and one of the best fighting games out there, all systems included. The punches and kicks land well with great animation and sound feedback. Being able to customize your fighter with your selection of punches and kicks is awesome. My personal favorite, the spinning punch. That is a good one where you come around with the back fist. Yeah.
That's right.
Chris Foles.
10 out of 10 from him.
Yeah, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Sorry, from Matthew. Panza, he's the one that always requests it on Amigathon. Panza, I think Chris actually spelled it Panzer. Panza Kickboxing is easily in the top 3 fighting games on the Amiga. The hits land with impact, nice graphics and sound effects. It's not without its flaws, dull backdrops that rarely change, lack of variations on opponents graphically, and the cardinal sin of no background music. 7 out of 10. Leif Kelland. Leif, you're going to have to give me a lesson on how to do your last name next.
Let's get Leif down first. I already screwed it up.
Yeah. This is a hidden gem on the Amiga. It's really quite surprising on how few top whatever lists it shows up on. In my mind, it's the finest fighter on the Amiga, with wonderful graphics, a compelling and difficult to master fight mechanic, and a just deep enough gameplay / managerial / progression subsystem. 8 out of 10. And finally, the one and only Figgy CTZ. He says, my all-time favorite kickboxing game. I wonder what his second one is. Great animations and colorful sprites. Love the intro music too. 10 out of 10. He loved it.
Figgy got in just under the wire.
Yeah,
there.
I did.
First of all, it does my heart good because me and Brent played this, and no one ever talked about it. I was like, why does anybody like this game? So it makes me happy to see that a lot of people do like it.
Yeah.
Because everyone, I mean, that's one of the most popular games we've ever played on here in terms of the amount of feedback and the ratings they gave it. It was very well regarded. And it shows you that a game, the core of the game outweighs its other stupid parts, So maybe somewhere down the line, this is never going to happen. But I would love to see this fight system used for a one-button system. This is the only fighting game I've played on the Amiga that makes you feel like you can pull off maneuvers with one button.
Yeah.
It's the only one, and that alone gives it a lot of value.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Aaron, it's time to give us a little update on what's been going on the old YouTube channel.
All right, we've had a lot of action this week, haven't we?
This has been one of our biggest weeks of all time.
There's a picture of me just relaxing. I like that one. Watch me lounge, drink. Oh, shoot, I got a drink over here.
So we kick things off with your video of this game, of Panza Kickboxing. So you fired this up on the actual Amiga 1200, right?
Let me tell you something. Get ready for a slew of Amiga videos, because I finally got a nice way to dump the Amiga video, and I am going crazy. I love it. And so I thought, well, what a good way to kick it off is to get some. And I would say when I did this, it had been so long since I played this, I'd forgotten everything. So I had to so I was actually glad I did. I had to go through and remember how I did everything. But yeah, that was my Amiga contribution for the week. More to come, lots more.
My Amiga contribution for the week was playing Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins on the Game Boy.
Yeah.
So I don't know why. I think I was streaming something else, and I just thought about playing some Game Boy, or maybe we were talking about Game Boy on the Discord. This is the first real Mario game for the Game Boy. The first Mario game, Super Mario Land, was not made by the normal Mario team. It was made by a different team. Mario didn't really respond like Mario. This game is like a condensed version of Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo.
I've not played this, but I've always heard good things about it.
It's a very good game. It's quite easy, so I love it.
Oh boy, yeah, now you really make me want to play it.
Yeah. So
the goal's underwater there?
Yeah.
Why isn't the water running out the tunnel?
Hey man, you don't ask questions.
All right, he's got wings on his head.
So I played about halfway through this, and I plan on playing the other half of it at some point this week. So tune in if you're interested in Game Boy action.
What did you play that on, Bo?
This was
an emulator?
Just an emulator, yeah. It's
that's
tough
so
to emulate
vibrant
the Game
and
Boy.
crisp.
Yeah,
it looks
great.
It
really looks good.
When you play an actual Game Boy, it's just like, oh.
No, it's a spinach-colored mess is what it is. All right. Hey, I'm harsh on everything.
I noticed that. You're getting really fiery.
Let's talk a little bit about your City of Heroes live stream.
Well, listen. I'm going to justify this. I swear to you.
Okay, I want to hear this story.
I have been working on some sort of rig in the other studios to do live streaming of live gameplay, multiplayer gameplay online, mostly for role-playing purposes, if you want the truth, and also to do some testing on our connection for when we do the Thanks for Giving marathon right after Thanksgiving. And so I thought, what better way to do it than just get the boys together and we'll just play some City of Heroes. And that's what we did. We had a couple sessions. We did it late at night. I believe we had, I think Ricky DeRocher was on there. It wasn't like it was well attended or well watched. But if you see these pop up occasionally, that's what's going on. We're just and the boys loved it. They thought it was great, and so they could go back and watch their games, what it looks like. So it's fun. And I will say, I think I've got the bugs ironed out. So.
Good.
I've played Star Trek Online, Picard, but why am I not surprised that you're shilling for it?
The ranking of Amiga platformers rolls on.
Now, this was your second effort in the Brian the Lion?
I was having major internet issues when the first time I tried to do a stream with Brian the Lion, but I managed to get it together and play this another one of these sort of classic platformer Amiga games. And
we covered this one. Gosh, how long has it been since we played this?
A couple of years. Yeah,
it's been 2. God, that long. Man.
But Brian the Lion, it's an okay game. It's an okay platformer. It's got some flaws, but it's a late release and it looks really, really good. I played the AJ version, looked great.
Brian looks like a dork.
He does.
Once again, the curse of Amiga.
Right.
Your main character is going to look like a geek.
Just look at him right now.
You got Sonic. We've got this dork. He looks stunned everywhere he goes.
He looks nothing like the cover art. The cover art makes him look like a mean dude with attitude.
Yeah, I'm sick of those guys. How about a meek dork with no attitude? Get him on the screen.
Sounds like me.
You're right. Where's the boat platformer of my dreams?
Hey.
You in a sweater vest, chastising people as you run by them.
Let's talk about. So I forgot to actually upload our Project X episode. So if you're a YouTube,
I was wondering about that. Boat.
I was going back through and looking at our playlist, and I realized that I forgot to do that. So that's up. The big news for this week is that I interviewed Retro Man Cave, and if you're at all interested in the history of his channel and what his future plans are, where he came from, where he's going, check that out. Retro Man Cave's a really nice guy. I was glad to peer inside the cave in real time, and we just have a real nice chat. And
Neil's awesome.
Yeah.
And I will say, this interview was great. He's great. Your questions are like top shelf. I thought you did a great job on that boat.
Well, thank you.
And Neil was very candid and very interesting guy. So super nice.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed it. I really like his stuff too. So now, I suspect this won't be the last in the boat series of interviews.
No. In fact, the Amigos interview, the series called the Amigos interview, has its next guest lined up for tomorrow.
A lot of people don't. I don't know, but some people may not remember that together. I think we did one, but you've interviewed a lot of like pretty big names, right? Pleasance, right? Oliver Twins, Flack,
Yeah.
Ravi,
Mike, the guy from Amiga Forever,
Mike,
even though we lost the audio.
the
for
guy
that.
from Amiga Forever, Pixel Vixen. You also sat down with the fellow from Cinemaware. We sat down with him on the show.
Yep,
In fact, he's
Sven.
joined us for a whole show, as I
Yeah.
recall. So you've got some pretty good. I'm sure our buddy. Was it Will that came on for the episode about D-Paint?
Yeah, Will Williams.
Yeah, Will Williams. So you've done some interviews, and together we've done a couple. Mostly, Boat's better at this stuff than I am. I just let him go, and he was great. He did a good job on that.
Well, thank you.
You get an attaboy.
What did you guys cover this week on ARG Presents, Aaron?
Listen, the shirt says it all. I'm into old school gaming. Nothing says old school like the Nintendo GameCube.
It's right there beside the 2600.
We spun the wheel and we made the deal, and this week we did GameCube games. Now, we chose, I would say, sort of diverse games this week. And Brent chose, it was also Bizarro week, so we chose each other's games. So Brent chose for me Kirby's Air Ride. You ever played this? You're
No,
big,
no.
I'm
I'm a big GameCube guy. I'd never heard of this before.
well, apparently this. Brent, as we both decided it was basically baby's first kart racer is what would be a good name for it. And then I chose for Brent another great game for the kids, Def Jam Fight for New York. So we got Brent. I just wanted to hear Brent talk about hip hop, and he did. He went well into hip hop and the history of Def Jam.
I thought that your comparison was very apt. What would happen if they updated Pit Fighter for like a 3D engine?
Yeah.
And this looks like it.
Well, I mean, again, these are the Wacky guys who have a lot of experience in combat video games. They did a lot of the wrestling games, and so. I'm not gonna lie. I picked Def Jam for Brent because number one, I want to hear him talk about hip hop, but also I just think it's a great game, and I love Def Jam Fight for New York.
Now
so.
I'm gonna go against the tide here. I never found the GameCube controller to be that bad.
Oh man, it's not though. It's a good controller, except for the button setup. It's horrible.
I think that if you're playing first-party Nintendo games that are set up for that layout, you're okay. But yeah, anything third-party, Madden, I couldn't imagine doing anything with
God.
that. Yeah,
I mean, and the thing is, like I was telling Brent, it feels good in your hand.
it really does. And
It's
the
way
analog,
better than the N64 controller. Lighter, more
right.
nimble, but the button setup is just the dirt worst.
Yeah.
It's the worst. Although the N64 gives it a run for its money, its button setup's horrible too.
I did an Atari 1200 XL stream this week. I continue to move through the book that you got me, the greatest games on the Atari 1200 or the Atari 8-bit series. I played some Blue Max.
I watched a good chunk of this.
Some Boulder Dash.
Yeah.
Boulder Dash is the most infuriating game I've ever played in my life. I played this thing 5 times and I died in the exact same place 5 times in a row. It was so horrible.
My kid walked in while I was watching this. He goes, "What is that?" I go, "Boulder Dash." And he, for about 1 second, he became obsessed with this. Whoa, what's he doing there? And then literally 2 seconds later, he was out. He didn't give a crap.
Yeah.
So it held him for only for a moment.
I played a really fun game, possible antecedent to Splatoon.
Yeah.
This is a game called Bristles. And it looks like that my color is getting worse and worse on this video as I move through. The video quality seems to be fading on me.
With this particular setup, the whatever colors are in play can grossly affect what's happening.
Yeah. But this is it's a really fun game where it's like your City Connections or any game where you have to paint a floor.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy it. Played some Bruce Lee. That was really fun. And finally, I played this wacky game called Caverns of Kafka.
Now, this game is a great game. I believe the same fellow that did this did Forbidden Forest.
Okay.
Paul Norman.
Oh, wow.
I think. If somebody in the chat room help me out here. I could be wrong, but I mean, this game is familiar to me, and I was introduced to this by your favorite Shane R. Monroe. He talked about this on his show, Caverns of Kafka, and it's a fun game. It's sort of in the tradition of it's sort of like if Spelunky had a kid with Montezuma's Revenge.
Sure, absolutely.
You know, so
Yeah.
there you go.
And finally this week, Aaron, you've played a little bit of Coco.
Yes, we have. Again, I've gotten a new setup where I can actually do stuff, and so I sit down. Now, admittedly, the audio in this is a little dim, but I've already taken care of that business. But it's still plenty good. Because it's Cron, and Cron was a color computer / Dragon 32 game that answered the age-old question, where the heck's my home version of Tron? Well, it's right here. It's Tron. It's a rip-off version. But back in the day when this came out, there was no other way to play Tron, sort of going to the arcade. And this is actually a pretty quality version of a Tron game. I enjoyed it. It's sort of the same basic bear, I liked it, and so I thought, well, I'm gonna try to do some more obscure, like off the wall Coco / Dragon 32 stuff, and this was the first thing that popped into my head.
Well, Aaron, I think now's as good a time as any.
Yeah. So. And me and Bo talked about how the best way to mention this. So basically, we've been around for 5 or 6 years, 4 or 5 years on the Amigos, and we started off with just a podcast, and those horrible mics and the headsets. We went through a bunch of different levels of mics, and we had cameras, and we had green screens, and all that stuff. So our supporters have been very kind to us over the years, and amongst the many things they've allowed us to do is upgrade our video quality, but it's also allowed me to finally be able to get a nice streaming signal out of the Coco and the Atari line of computers, which if you know anything about those computers, they are tough as nails to get a quality signal out of because they're old, and the signal that comes out of them is wonky.
Yeah, it's not a normal composite.
Yeah, and they won't play well with a lot of capture stuff. And it's not like we didn't look. We looked around. We tried every kind of crazy thing. And ironically, something real simple ended up fixing the problem. So now we've got the ability to capture really good footage from the color computer / Dragon 32 and the Atari. And so we've been kicking around the idea of doing some sort of Tandy color computer show. And so now that we have the ability to capture good footage, we're going to go ahead and kick one off. And so we're announcing today that we're going to, probably starting for real sometime next month, we're going to start a Tandy color computer / Dragon 32 game-based podcast. It'll be very similar to our Sinclair. We'll just pick a couple games. The difference is we're only going to go once a month with this. We're going to do it once a month because I don't want to. We introduced ARG last year. And
almost 2 years
to the
ago
mix,
now.
and then we've introduced in the past year or so we've introduced our Sinclair, and it's been great. And one of the things I like about it, and of course we do ARG, me and Brent, but me and Bo did it at first. One of the things I like about these shows is that I get to play with these systems that have they're all gameplay. There's no fluff, there's no baloney. It's stuff I've never seen. And the Coco was a machine that I had when I was a kid, but it's been so long since I played that almost all the stuff I don't remember. And so now that we've got the ability to play these things and have a lot of fun with them, much like we did with our Sinclair when we got a Spectrum up and running, we figured, what the heck, we're going to give it a shot. So we're gonna start doing a show next month, and the name of the show, Boat?
The Coco Show.
The Coco Show, as simple as it can get.
Yeah, the URL is up already. There's not much there, but you can go to thecocoshow.net and see what's there. There will be lots more stuff. By the time you hear this, actually, there will be lots more stuff, including an episode 0, so you can go ahead and subscribe to the podcast feed. I'm very, very excited to do a show about the Coco because it's yet another computer. You grew up with it. You know it well. I don't know anything about it.
Now, all that said, we are the Amigos, and the Amiga is our number one. And the reason we're putting this at once a month is because that won't change anything else at all. In fact, I was thinking on the way over here, I've enjoyed the Amigos podcast more in the past year than all the other years combined.
Absolutely.
It's been a lot more fun. I like having the committee pick the games. It's a lot more fun.
The AGSC changed everything.
And now that I can dump a quality signal for the first time, I looked at my Amiga on my flat screen high def TV, and it was glorious. It was glorious. I basked in the glow. So now we can start capturing some quality video. There's going to be a lot more for me anyway. There's going to be a lot more Amigos plays. In fact, the one I've got on tap, I'm hoping to film it sometime next week. I'm going to just restart it. I'm going to do all the bar games events. It's going to be my late night Amigos offering.
It'll finally
because I never finished my series, so that's the next thing on my docket. So nothing's going to change with our other shows, but we will be having a Coco show for those that are into it once a month. we're going to play both Coco and Dragon 32 stuff, or Dragon 64, because a lot of stuff that we had when I was a kid came from Europe. I didn't even know it. I had no idea. Cuthbert games and stuff like that. I didn't know what the heck that was. Just thought it was another game. And somewhere way down the line, now that we can pull images off of the, or pull video off the Atari, we may do something with the Atari somewhere down the road. But for now, we're just going to concentrate on doing some, hopefully, quality Coco stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Aaron. Last week, our supporter song challenge. You got this one. Do you remember what it was?
I don't.
It was a Billy Joel song.
Oh yes, yeah. Was it an Uptown Girl or something? What was it?
No, it was Anthony's song.
Yeah.
Moving Out.
Moving Out. Yeah.
Right. We had 2 winners. Congratulations to Joseph Baxter and Terry Howard.
Joseph Baxter. Has he won before?
Florida's own Joseph Baxter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know who that is. Never mind.
So this week, Aaron, we have a new Amigos supporter. His name is Simon Lech. We welcome Simon with open arms. Thank you so much for joining us, and you will be included for the first time in this song. If you know this song, then you can email me at john@amigospodcast.com, and you will be announced among the winners on next week's episode.
Beautiful.
Simon Lech, Captain Crispy, Kilobytes and Caffeine. Mike W. Decker, Threepwood, Dairy, Heather, Free Lunch. Kate Fox, David Pickford, Cameron Armstrong, Andy Jones, Lobsterminator, Craig McClelland. 10-minute Amiga, Retrocast, Counting, Virtual Sheep, Bernard Quinn, Retro Man Cave, Tim Drew. Simon Rose, Joseph Harrison, Kyle Hedder, Rob O'Hara, Howard Nibbs, Matthew Larimore, Andy Craig. Shanzo, Darren Lomax, calling for 19 Bark, Bit Rollenberg, Andrew Monk, Show the Zombie, John Cook, Leaf Gallant, Alan Kebab, Jack O'Dean, Leatherlight, John Marshall, Matthew Perron, Ricky DeRocha, Creepy Dead Boy, Vicky, CTZ, The Slow, Nora, Stefan, Sogan, Mortensen, Ed Van Helen, Blendo 75, Christopher S.O., Ravi Abed, Chris Folds, Dreamcatcher, Lauren Giroux, Graham Thebke, Lane Jensen, and Adam Battersby at Brian's Retro and Vintage. Gary Huckasey, Brian Jones, Paul Harrington, Duncan Styles, Tapes from the Crypt. Josh Nan, Adam Bradley, Jonas Rulo, THT, Eric Nelson, Kim, Tommy Home, Butch Dodd, Daniel Bingston, Brutal Barracuda, Darren Coles, Jason Warren's Pixels at Dawn, and Kjolbjorn Barman.
Man, that was like an opera. You've got incredible range. You suck at every possible level of singing. I noticed when you were hitting those Tabernacle Choir verses, your lip was going like this. Ooh. I never seen quite like that. It was like the last time I saw a mouth like that on something it was a largemouth bass. I was pulling a hook out of it. Good God.
We also want to thank all the fine folks in the chat with us right now. We got Martin B, a.k.a. Reflections. You know, Martin is sort of the demo scene cracker star of Norway. I don't mean it like that way. You know I don't see color.
No.
Barkbit's here with us. Sweden's finest. Boss Man, of course, here. Paul Harrington. Pixels at Dawn. Steve Rasmussen.
You broke Martin's mug with your horrible, when you hit that high note.
Pac Billy's here, and he's very excited about the Coco Show.
Oh, boy, I know. He's mentioned it a few times over in the Discord.
Ed Van Helland is here. Sorry, Aaron is not yet going to Amiga Ireland. That was not the big announcement.
Well,
I apologize.
I will say, but I've had a couple people that said, I'm not in family matters prevent me from leaving the country for a while because but give me time. I'm working on it.
Picard 2005. Guys, thank you so much. You are always welcome to join us when we record live Fridays around 5:30 for both Amigos, our Sinclair, and at some point in the very near future, the Coco Show. So, Aaron, next week, we're going to play a little bit of Globule.
The hell is that?
Globule.
Globule? That sounds gross.
Well, it's not appetizing, I'll tell you that.
Globule?
Yeah.
How's that spelled?
Yeah, there's Globdule.
Okay.
Globule.
Globule.
Yeah.
Weird. Okay.
So we'll check that out.
Do we know
We'll
what
see
that
how it
is?
It is a isometric platformer. Think Marble Madness, but with slimy balls.
Enough said.
All right, guys. We will see you next week. Until then, adios.
Slimy balls, eh?
Yeah.
Did you see what they put on the stop recording button? There's a pause feature.
Yeah.
It finally happened.
That was a big thing. That was like the #1 feature.
Man, that was something right there. We went way. That was a long show.
It was a
wasn't it?
long show.
I had a lot to say.
Well, and we had a lot of site news. We had a fair amount of news, and so
we better just keep right on trucking then.
all right.
This one should be much shorter.
All right, I need to get some more drink.
Do you?
Drink. That was my father.
I know you're talking
Yeah.
about. I watch Father Ted.
I can't think of the not Father Ted.
Drink, girls.
Yeah. Sometimes when I just start walking, I just start
Now
wandering around.
we got a guy here, Erland. He says you screwed him here.
Erland is Figgy.
Yeah, it says here he got the right answer.
Did he email it to me?
He says he did. Sounds like somebody cocked up something there, Boaster.
That was probably me.
Hey, crew, since I've got you alone, is anyone in here? I'm just polling, mind you, because I know generally we are an Amigo-centric crew. But of course, we dabble in these other computers. Are there anyone in here that are into like the Atari 8-bits or the Coco? I mean, is that something you guys might find interesting? I'd be interested to know. I think it'll be fun. You know, I think we'll find some new pals. You know.
I'll find some NTSCs.
What do you got there, Boat?
This is a New Juice IPA from Southern Tier Brewing Company. Now we're going all Pixels at Dawn, or not Pixels at Dawn, Pixel Gaiden. It's from the Southern Tier Brewing Company. Yeah, they're real southern. Lakewood, New York.
Are you kidding me? They got a lot of sand to put Southern in there.
Yeah.
The Coco Show. Well, we have to talk to our resident graphics master, the Dunk, who has been cranking out awesome stuff. Edwin, let me ask you. Here's another question I have got. We know you guys are into the Amiga and maybe the Speccy. What other classic systems do you dig?
Amstrad. They're all going to say Amstrad.
Amstrad. You know, and we don't have hardly any experience with the Amstrad.
Well,
if we had an Amstrad, maybe that's
I'd Amstrad in the
well, I
morning.
mean, it's like when did we get into Speccy? When we actually opened up the Speccy
Right.
and play with it. I mean, and I've got the Coco because
Right.
I got that big bites and stuff. That makes it easier.
Yeah.
Because I don't like to have a system where I fully have to emulate
Yeah,
it.
that's
you
no
know?
good.
Because you really don't get a new in the box. How did you come across that, dude? Holy
I had a
crap.
130XE new inbox for a while.
Really?
I unwrapped it. I took it out of the plastic.
You know what I heard this week, and Edwin, I'm going to mention this to you since you've got the Amiga. I was like, man, it'd be cool to have a bridge board for the 1200, right? You know, they've got these cards you put them, and you gives you a
get your PC, yeah.
Now, if you've got a big Amiga, you can get the really awesome ones and have VGA and stuff. Did you know that there's a hardware Atari ST card for the Amiga, and there's a C64 hardware
did not know
solution
that.
for the Amiga? Any of you guys have that? Because I was like, man, I got to ask some people about that. Does anyone here have the hardware C64 bridge board or the ST bridge board for your Amigas? Because that is something I would like to see some footage of if you do. I couldn't believe it. I can't imagine they were widespread.
No.
You know.
Yeah, the 130XE. That's that's probably it's the most powerful 8-bit, but it's the worst keyboard, and it's got the cartridge coming out of the back of the system. It plugs in where the RF modulator plugged into the Amiga.
What is it with the Atari and putting stuff in weird spots? It's like the joystick ports on that XEGS.
Right.
What was that all about?
Right, and like they should have put the 800XL is gold. That's the gold standard. The 1200XL is almost as good, but.
Andy, which Tandy PC did you have? I had an SL and a TL. I bet you had a TX. That's my guess.
Did you see Figgy? He's got a Globule poster on his wall.
I'm sorry. What do you? What? Do you have any idea what that is?
Globule?
Yeah.
It's an isometric.
Have you tried it?
No.
Okay.
Pixels explained it to me on Discord. He always gives me the rundown.
Dunk, the only reason I know about him is because I was nosing around the Amiga Encyclopedia, hardware encyclopedia.
Oh, yeah.
And here they are. I was like, and I saw someone who had, get this may be even sicker. Some dude on eBay had just sold the C64 thing for the Amiga at $99 in America.
Wow.
I was like, son of a gun.
That's crazy. That's wacky in every sense of the word.
You know, the Amiga did a great job emulating a basic IBM simply from software.
Oh, we need to switch over to the next.
And so I actually had a thing called the card, AT-1s. Mm-hmm. And it was in my, I can't remember if I had it in my 1000 or my 1200, but I had it, and it did a pretty good job of playing some remedial PC games, but it was mostly for like PC applications and whatnot, you know.
Well, I figure if you needed to run Lotus 1, 2, 3 or something like that, it was probably fine.
Oh, 1000. See that the 1000 HX, those are neat. The Tandy HXs were sort of like the Amiga. It was like a PC that was all in the keyboard. The Tandys I had that were PCs were like your standard PC. It was like a box with a keyboard.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. All right, Starquake. I was interested in the author of this because we actually have played one of his games on here, 2 of them I think. So we'll talk about it. I'm ready when you are, big boy.
Okay. I'm gonna wait and see how hard you slam that cup down before we start. Hi everybody, welcome to our Sinclair. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today we're gonna be talking about Starquake.
Cool name.
I tell you, does any word not benefit from having star placed in front of it?
I'm sure there's some, but I don't want to. Probably something I could say on the show. I can think of a couple.
Don't work blue right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, how many games, how many movies, how many TV series have just stuck star in front of something? I guess Star Wars was the first, and everything just kind of. Well, Star Trek came before then.
Well,
so.
Quake is also cool. I mean, Quake is a cool. I mean, because there's some action. There's something going on. It's a lot of movement. You know?
It makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't like that word.
Have you ever been involved in an earthquake?
No. Yes. Where
were you?
When I lived in Boston,
yeah,
there was an earthquake that hit D.C. that we felt.
Yeah.
Yeah, in 2000, it was 2011. And the building that I was in swayed from side to side. It was a very odd feeling.
I've got an even more terrifying earthquake story.
Were you in Oakland in '89?
No, much worse. So I'm in a Kmart parking lot.
That is a scary place.
In Kanawha City.
Oh.
Right, and I'm eating my lunch. All right.
What were you eating?
I believe that day I was having a Burger King meal.
Okay.
And so I'm sitting there eating my lunch, and I'm listening to some stupid radio program.
Shane R. Monroe.
No, it was a AM radio, so it was probably sports or one of the conservative talking heads. So anyway, I'm sitting there, all of a sudden, I'm going like this. Oh, what the heck's going on? And I thought some sucker had came up and grabbed the back into my car and went like this.
Just one of your friends playing a little joke
like
on you.
Like a joker.
Yeah,
that's right. And so I was like, I'm going to fix you. So I put my food down, put my cold one down, you know, pop the door open, no one's there. So I'm like, well, I'm going mad, you know. So I finished my meal and I'm going back to the computer store and I listen to the radio and it says, Charleston just experienced an earthquake.
Wow.
And that's what it was. It was a tremors that went through Charleston, West Virginia, and that's what shook my car.
You
like
were
that.
in the epicenter.
That was it. I think I was the epicenter because I had a lot of Burger King, and I turned the wrong way and just set it off.
Now, when was this?
Oh, this would have been 2000. 2009 or 10 or something like that. Somewhere in that area of 2000s. So
Yeah, so I was in Korea then.
that's
I
what
missed out.
that's what it
I
was.
missed
Yeah,
out.
and that was my first diet. I was like, if I'm starting these citywide earthquakes.
That was when the Vienna sausages started just right down the gullet.
Well, listen. That was a whole other diet.
Oh.
This is when I was like, I'm cutting my Burger King consumption down by a fourth.
Oh.
Bam.
Boy, you were getting it done.
No more 2 Whopper specials. Now I'm going to go to the Whopper and just a double cheese.
Yeah, you gotta make sacrifices.
Yeah.
We got some feedback from last week's episode, Aaron.
Oh boy, he did it.
He said, I just caught the end of your Jetpack podcast, another great and funny episode, and was pleasantly surprised to hear my moniker, Steve16384, mentioned in regard to the multiplayer Chaos remake I created.
Yeah. Oh, he heard.
Yeah.
Wow, and didn't you say something like, oh, he's probably not listening, but that's awesome.
Unfortunately, since very few people played it, I've since turned off the server and removed it from Google Play, so it's not possible to play it anymore. For what it's worth, though, it's not my only attempt at a Chaos remake. I've created several in the past, as a lot of people have, and my last attempt was a 3D real-time multiplayer version. It's not actually playable yet, but there's a small video to show it off, and I'll dump that in the show notes for this episode. And he says, cheers, and I look forward to more great Our Sinclair podcasts, Stephen Carlisle Smith. And right after that, he became a Patreon supporter.
Wow, that's great. That's happened to us a bunch of times where someone that worked on the game or whatever has sent us a message. I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
Welcome aboard, Steve.
Absolutely. So if you have feedback anytime for Our Sinclair, just send us an email at feedback@oursinclair.com.
Or if you're doing anything involving chaos.
Yeah.
I love that game.
Yeah. So Aaron, let's talk about Starquake.
Starquake. Now, of course, I always ask this because I always know the answer. Have you played or heard of this game beforehand?
I'd never heard of Starquake before.
I was not played it. Obviously.
Yeah, I've never played it.
So, me either. But I mean, when I heard the name, I'm like, get me some of this. This is right up my alley. I like to pick stuff based on the coolness of the name.
That's true.
So
Starquake would be a good wrestler name. Because you're a star.
If you had there used to be this wrestling. There used to be this wrestling, boxed wrestling dice game, and it was like cosmic wrestling. That'd be perfect.
Was it like Muscle, like the little
it was
plastic
sort of like
guys?
Muscle, but it was sort of like a dice-based strategy game.
Okay.
But that's where I could see a guy like Starquake cleaning up in that promotion.
Me too.
So Starquake, this is a game that was published by an outfit. I love this, Bubble Buzz Software. That's a great name for a publisher.
I like it.
And and I just had to find this. I don't know why, but for anyone that knows or cares. Their offices were at 87 High Street, Tonbridge, Kent. You ever been to Kent?
Never been to Kent. It's in the south of England. I've never been that far south.
There you go. So this was released in 1985, which was, let's see here, I was the same year I was starting high school, I believe. So this would have been perfect for me if I'd been in the UK. I'd been ready to go.
Well, I was just starting to talk at that time.
Oh, well, boy, and you never stopped, unfortunately. This game was put together. It was a one-man show this week, Boaster. Stephen J. Crow. Now we've run into Mr. Crow before. I will name off some of his other works: The Eliminator, Fire Lord. Listen, this guy knows how to name a game. Eliminator, Fire Lord, Heavy Metal, Netherworld, Wizard's Lair, and he also did some games you may have heard of. Iridium and Synapse.
Okay. So he's got quite the pedigree.
That's right. I love that.
Kent, home of Duncan Styles, by the way.
There you go. So it's famous people.
Yeah. Lots of famous people hail from
It's like
Kent.
Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
This was made on the 48K ZX, and I will say this comes up with a plethora of control options. You've got the Kimpston, whatever the interface 2 is. You want to let me know what that is?
I think the interface 2 is the interface that gave you joystick compatibility.
I see. And the Kimpston is what? The joystick thing to give you joystick. It's just
Kimpston is a third party.
Oh,
and
I
then
see.
the Sinclair interface 2 was the same thing.
It's funny because we haven't seen that come up that often. So did it not get supported that much?
I think the Kimpston was more popular than because the Kimpston came out before the Sinclair. Remember, Clive didn't want this thing to be a gaming machine.
Yeah, you might be onto something there. This also lets you use the keyboard and you can redefine your keys, which is important when you're me because I play this with the keyboard. Original retail price of this thing, this is a pricey one, Boat, £7, 95p. And then when it dropped down to the budget zone, you got it for £2. That's not too bad, eh? Now, here's something that surprised me, Boat, and I'm going to blow your mind. You ready?
I'm ready.
Set your brain on stun when I tell you this. So this thing got spread around, okay? I'm going to put my paper so you can't cheat.
Okay, I won't cheat.
So you got it was on the Specky, of course, the Amstrad, the Atari 8-bits got this. Did you know that?
No.
The Atari ST, the BBC Micro, the C64, DOS, the MSX. All right, now how about this one?
The Einstein Tatung.
How did you know that?
Because I've been researching the Einstein Tatung, and I just had a feeling that might be one of the...
You looked at my sheet,
No,
didn't you?
I swear I didn't.
What the heck is the Tatung Einstein?
That is something that somebody tweeted a picture of one, and this thing looks awesome. It's just another one of those random, sort of like the Auric or the Thompson. It's just one of those 8-bit micros that came out that sort of kind of died away.
Do me and Brady to put this on the wheel?
Absolutely.
It's got games for it.
Somebody needs to put it in the post to us. I'd love to have one.
Is it emulated?
It's got an Elite was ported to it.
But I mean, has it been emulated by modern machines? You know?
Oh, I'm sure.
I'll look into it. So anyway, that's not the surprising thing though. Now here's the surprising. Of course, you also got the iPad and the iPhone. This got released on the Amiga. Right.
In 2018.
That's right. So you did know.
Yeah.
Why? I don't even remember covering that. But I probably didn't know what it was.
I think we went over, like, there was Indie Retro News probably did a story on it. We briefly covered it, but we didn't know what it was.
Moved on. So put it on the list. That's going to be on the list there. So what is Starquake? Well, that's a $1 million question, isn't it, Bo? I can tell you when I first started playing this game, just to wax for a minute, we are in a unique position. Okay, amongst people that look at Spectrum games, because we didn't grow up with a Spectrum, we've got no idea what's coming, right? And so every week, unless it's like an arcade portion, I got no idea what we're doing. Okay, so I loaded this sucker up, and your little guy's on the screen, and I thought, okay, what do we got here? It looks like it's going to be some sort of shooter, all right, like a shoot 'em up. And so I hit the button, nothing. Like, what's going on? And then I hit down, and my guy shoots straight up in the air and with some kind of weird platform.
Yeah, it's like a floating cloud platform.
And I just sat there like, what in God's name am I looking at? And so then I moved off the screen, and I fell down another screen. And I was like, endless screen.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, we are through the looking glass on this one. This was nothing like I thought it was going to be.
This is down the rabbit hole is a perfect approximation of this game.
You couldn't, and try to explain what this is to somebody. My kid saw me playing this. He goes, hey, what are you doing there? I'm like, I don't know. I don't have any idea what I'm doing. So what you're doing here, the background of this bad boy, you are controlling Blob.
Okay, right? what a inventively named character.
Biologically operated being.
Oh.
That's pretty good, Bo. Come on.
We're all blobs in our own way.
Some of us more blobby than others. So here's what's happened, and if you read, I will say that the notes on the tape are these are remember the last time we read notes on the tape? These are even more ridiculous than those. I've got them right here. I want
to hear it. I want to hear it, man.
From the great abyss of a black hole emerges a danger of awesome consequences. A planet so unstable that if its core is not rebuilt, the resulting explosion will render the galaxy a lifeless wasteland. To the rescue, Blob, hero of the moment. This biologically operating being is chosen not for his superintelligence, not for his fearlessness, nor for his superpowers. His is the only spaceship available.
Oh, boy.
Out to face danger he goes. Trusty spaceship, flightboard computer, and galaxy A to Z. Will he succeed? Will he be in time? He'd better. There's no other chance for the world. Message has just reached Earth of an unstable planet. If this planet is not rebuilt, it will implode, causing the whole universe to go kaboom. Struth, a starquake.
What does that mean?
I don't even know. listen to this. It's not over.
Okay.
This biologically operated being is chosen for this ultra dangerous mission. But why Blob? Because of his mind-blowing hybrid capabilities, or his artificial intelligence of his anti-brain? Nope. Because all the other guys have pranged their spaceships. So Blob sets off for outer space in his trusty ship with just a flight board computer. Gulp. Is he going to succeed? Will he ever get there? Or will the universe go and Blob go blip? Gusharudies.
Yeah, they say
Who
that a lot
knows?
in England. Just
But all these and
Gusharudies.
many other answers must be questioned before it's too late. Now, so what does that tell you about the game?
That tells me I'm about ready to throw down £7.99 at the W.H. Smith.
Would you buy something that had Gosharudies written on it?
Gosharudies. I think that was an '80s term.
No, it was. No
fell
one
out
has
of favor.
ever said that.
Yeah,
No.
that was your Debbie Harrison. She said it all the time.
No, Debbie Harry. That gummy boat. Gosharubies. So basically, what the mission here is that you've got Blob, and you've got to go and gather the parts to build basically a bomb that's going to explode this planet. Okay,
The core.
as far as I can tell. Okay, now blueprint this ain't, because this has screens and screens and screens. In fact, a guy calculated the screens. There are 512 screens in this game on a 16 by 32 grid.
Yeah, I on World of Spectrum, they've actually plotted this out in a big graphic.
It didn't help a bit, did it?
No, but it is impressive to look at. I mean, it's a lot of screens.
This would be interesting to hang in your room if you
Yeah.
had a lot of wall space.
Man, with these colors, put a black light on that thing. Oh yeah,
Man, you'd never sleep
call the
again.
ladies.
You think that'd do it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Nothing turns on a woman like a blob in a 512 screen grid. That's what I use as a pickup line. Hey, babe, you want to see my blob? That'd go too good. That's why I'm single. So anyway, you play a blob. Now, if you were just a blob and you're exploring 512 screens, it might be a little boring. So let's throw in random flying crap everywhere.
Everywhere. It's
Now-
worse than blood money.
Now, you've got a couple of different varieties of flying crap, Boat. You've got your standard, you've got bugs and, I don't know, shrimp or something.
Yeah, prawn.
But you've also got these flying tops. These tops are not the tops. The other stuff, they hit you, they just drain some of your energy. The tops hit you, they kill you, drop you right there. So, what is Blob picking up? Well, he can pick up a number of things. You've got 3 bar charts at the top of the screen on this game. You've got one that's just like your battery. It's sort of like your health, okay? Then you've got one that is the amount of self-elevation things you've got left. When Blob wants to go up, he has
takes
2
power.
choices, but one of the choices is he can basically elevate himself.
Yeah.
With some kind of...
It's like David Blaine.
Well, yeah, sort of. But when you're out of elevation points, guess what? Your elevating days is over for that guy. And then your last thing is Blob has like a laser he can shoot, like almost like an electrical bolt. And if you exhaust your energy for the electrical bolt, Blob is done shooting for the day.
Yeah.
You know? So you've got to be very careful about how you govern your use of these abilities. Now, what else? What can Blob pick up to help him? Well, they're replenishing pickups for the 3 main abilities. Okay, you also can pick up parts for your that you need to finish the game, which is to build that big thing in the core of the planet. Another thing you can do is land on these flying platforms. When you get on the flying platforms, you don't have to use your self-elevating blob powers. You can just fly around. It also gives you the ability to shoot up and diagonally up, as opposed to when you're the blob, you can't do that.
Which is weird. I don't know why that would give you that power, but that's
Listen,
okay.
have you ever tried to elevate yourself?
Well,
Clearly not.
Not naturally.
Shazing! So, Blob uses the hover pad or whatever to fly around. He flies just like normal. But when you're in hover pad mode, you can't pick stuff up.
Right.
You've got to go, and you can't just land the hover pad anywhere. I guess it's like a recharging station.
Yeah.
It's like a Prius.
Right.
You got to plug that sucker in, and then once you land, then you can go out and pick up your thing.
But sometimes where you land is not where the item is, and so you've got to backtrack a little bit to get to where it is.
A little bit?
Well, that's underestimation.
Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
There's more backtracking in this game than you ever saw.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's say you stumble upon a piece that you need to start this bomb going. What do? Teleport pads sprinkled throughout the game.
Mm-hmm.
These teleport pads work on a password system, all right? So if you go to a telepad, type in a certain word, you will go to another telepad port, all right? That's how it works. And then you can use that to go and put that piece in the core. There are also areas that you can't get to without a coded key card, all right? Well, that's a whole other thing you got to go get, coded key cards. Which I can tell you, I never got far enough where the coded key cards meant much because I didn't know what the heck I was doing for the most part. I can tell you, I spent a goodly amount of time playing this, to be honest with you. And of course, the first few hours, I just lumbered around like an idiot because I didn't read the docs. And I could hear Boat in the background going, "You're dumb. You're a dumb fool."
Just read the docs.
And so finally I read the docs, and it didn't help all that much, but it helped a lot.
Well, I'll tell you this. This is probably the first game that we've done on this show where I do the same thing that you do, just contract it a little bit. I start out playing the game. If it's not immediately apparent what I'm doing, I'm like, all right, I'm quitting, and I'm going to read the docs. So I read the docs, and I read through, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. All right. And then I go back to the game, and I feel like I have not been helped at all. Because it's crazy time all the time in this game. There's stuff flying around. Because I was reading a text version of the docs, I didn't know what things looked like. I didn't understand the bar system. I think that this game is very ambitious, perhaps a little overly ambitious in what it's trying to do.
Well, I guess I had a better grasp than you did because I understood.
Probably so.
I understood most of the basic concepts right away. My big concern was basically, I knew I needed to get stuff. I didn't know where to take it. Mm-hmm. All right, and also I didn't know any of the passwords for any of the.
Yeah. Now, how do you figure those out?
How did I figure them out? I went and found a cheat.
Okay.
that had the passwords
if
written
you were
down.
playing this game au naturel, how would you figure out?
I don't know.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I don't know the answer to that. And I don't think they tell you the password when you go in and do that. I don't remember. Did it tell you the password when you went in? I can't remember.
No, because that's the challenge. Is you have to type it in.
Well,
right?
but the one you go in, it would be.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I think it tells
they
you.
tell you when you're going in.
But you have to go find the other ones to teleport to them.
Oh, I see.
Now, what does this do? And why would they put this in the game? Well, let me reiterate: 512 screens of game. This game goes everywhere, and I mean, this is one of the most expansive exploration games I have ever seen on an 8-bit machine. I mean, it goes. It's like Ultima or something.
Yeah.
It just keeps going, and you go up and down. You go up into the stars.
It's very Metroid-like.
Is it?
Yeah, it's very Metroid-like.
You mean repetitive, and most of the levels look sort of similar?
And
yeah.
It's easy to get lost.
Oh, yeah, it is. And to keep in mind, I am the get lost master. You know what I'm saying? I'm King Dong of getting lost. And so I thought, I'm going to go. I knew there was a chart. Because I was like, some guy has made a chart. And assuming these, I went on the assumption that this game didn't just make up the levels, and it doesn't.
And it's not procedurally generated.
And I found the chart. But I spent so much time consulting the chart and pausing the game that the game was very quickly not fun for me. Now, in this game, much like a shark, if you stop moving forward, you die. There is no stopping unless you pause the game. I mean, it is.
The enemies will be on you.
Yes, and these enemies, and at bare minimum, they take some of your health. But if those tops show up, and enemies sort of just come out of the ether, they fizzle in.
They just
Now they're coming.
Yeah, because they spawn on every single screen. There are no screens in this game with no enemies.
Right. I mean, and if you kill them all, they're coming back. There is no stopping. So what do you take from this? What I took from this is the following, because after doing some research, this is a very popular game. Okay, why? Right? Well, there's a reason. For £8, you get a game that you could explore 512 different screens on and solve an overarching mystery, and accomplish something very difficult, but not impossible. Amongst the things you pick up in this game are joysticks. Now, do you know what the joysticks do?
They cure your health.
Wrong.
Oh.
They give you an extra man.
Oh, really?
So you can rack up a ton of extra man, all right, and you're going to go through them. But you can rack up a lot of them. And I got to the point where I had plenty of extra man. I was just too stupid or lost to figure out the thing, because that's the meat of this game, is keeping track of where you've been, where you need to go, and the overall picture of the map. Not my strong suit, Bo.
No.
I had to consult Google to get home last week. So I mean, from here.
Right.
So you can imagine what this game did to me. It's very difficult, but there's no doubt that the reason that it's popular is because it provides you a lot of gameplay.
Well, not only that, but this is a very pretty game. I mean, this game uses all of the colors of the spectrum, the whole spectrum, as it were. And there's very little color clash. The enemies are, uniquely designed. It's not just like geometric shapes. I would say that of everything in this game, the main character is probably the least inspired thing. And of course, he's called Blob, so I guess I shouldn't be expecting too much. But I can see why this is very reminiscent of like the ultimate play the game type games, like a Tick Attack. Very colorful and bright. When we compare this,
Attic Attack, for God's sakes.
I'll never. Compared to when we talked about Paper Warrior, Paper Warrior is all one color. It just goes to show that talented programmers could really get a lot out of the different colors of the system at the same time.
To put the complexity of this game in perspective, I told you there were 512 screens. There are 15 different teleporters.
Oh, okay.
So that's a lot of stuff to keep track of. Just to remembering the various codes.
You've got to have a notebook for this game, for sure.
I read somewhere that this game has an unusual feature, which is a exit the game feature. All right, apparently this is not something that's prevalent in these games. And when you hit it, it shows a wacky picture and it resets your spectrum.
Oh, I wonder why you'd need. I guess maybe you get to some point and you're totally lost and you just want to start it over again.
I thought that was strange.
Well, it's cool because I guess you just don't have to keep dying. Although deaths come pretty easy in this game, so.
Yeah, but I mean you get lots of extra man. So here's my take on this one. I mean, I can tell you when this game started, I like this kind of game, and because I like exploring around, but it sort of reminded me of a game that I've never had any luck with, which is Adventure on the Atari. This sort of abstract, amorphous, kind of weird game where you just kind of wander around.
Yeah.
I always got lost in that too, by the way. It's a lot simpler than this.
Yeah. Duncan, I think in the chat compared this to Dizzy. He called it Dizzy in Space. I would not necessarily compare it to Dizzy, because in Dizzy you're always faced with sort of physical impediments that you need items to progress. This game pretty much lets you roam freely throughout all the screens. I think Adventure for the 2600 is a pretty apt comparison.
This game also includes these elevated pipes. You go in, they suck you up. There's also these godforsaken electrical bolts that shoot across these entries.
And those are instant.
Those are instant death, and they're not easy to navigate. Also in this game, when you run out of the ability to go up, or you run out of the ability to shoot, you're pretty much dead.
Yeah.
And you might as well just commit suicide. And so that you can replenish the bars for that, but if you're not in an area where you've got extra stuff, you're boned, and so you're just basically kill yourself. I was desperately trying to get a grip on this game, so I watched a couple playthroughs and a guy who even actually offered to help you understand what to do. And he was so good at the game, it made me feel so inferior, because he just whipped through it. And he basically, from what I've read, is that if you know how to play this game, you can never lose at it, and it's super easy. On the other hand,
if you don't know what you're doing,
if you're us, you're boned. I didn't come close. I did manage to get parts back to the main thing, again, after watching playthroughs and reading docs and everything else and looking at a list of the teleporters, but I got nowhere near beating the game. And often, I have to admit, I would just get kind of frustrated and just give up, because this didn't hold my attention. And games of this type, are sort of of that era to me. You know what I mean? When you play a game like Manic Miner, what's good about a game like that is that it's difficult as hell, but you beat a level. And then you can, in this era, you can just hit.
There's no
save
danger
or
of getting lost in Manic Miner.
Right, and you can just keep cracking at it if you want to until you beat it. And I guess you can do that with this, but it's. I mean, I can't imagine saving your game on this and walking away for like a couple weeks, going back.
Oh no.
You'd be boned.
Yeah.
You know, you have to know what's going on throughout the entire picture, and that is tough. All that said, with that many ports, you know, it's pretty popular boat to get that many ports. So I looked up some reviews on this boatster, and the reviews. I mean, I had to check these to make sure I didn't read them wrong. Okay, the World of Spectrum gives us an 8.19, which I'm surprised it's that low, to be honest with you. Eurogamer.net gives us 100.
Wow.
All right,
Very
they
high
loved
praise.
it. Sinclair user from 85, 100. Crash of 85 gave this a 96.
Was it a crash smash?
Oh, yes. Twice.
Wow.
The budget got a 91. ZX Spectrum, oops, I did it, didn't I? The ZX Spectrum version was ranked 27th in the Your Sinclair official top 100, and it was ranked 10th in the Retro Gamer magazine top 25 Specky games. So this thing was well regarded. And I'm not here to bury this game. I'm here to praise it with a but. And the but being, it's not my cup of tea because there's so much memorization involved. And at the heart of the game, you're basically running around back and forth over a huge maze and avoiding random crap that pops up. It's not my thing. I checked this out on eBay, and you can get this thing all day long for $4.
Okay.
There's
So
a guy
pretty
that's.
easy to find.
I saw a guy that sold 35 of these, and he's selling more.
Well, I will say that the artwork, the cassette artwork, is not very inspiring.
Yeah.
The Ultimate series is much better, and a big part of those games' value, I think, is the great artwork on the cassettes.
Yeah. Oh, I should admit, we left something major out, and that is the music in this. And the music and sound in this are off the charts for the.
They're
for the
very
Specky.
good.
I remember last week I said that this crushes that.
Yeah.
This is way
This
better.
might be the tippity top for the 48K.
And the sound effects, I mean, they are great. It reminded me almost like almost Vectressy. It was really good. So the sound and the music of this these are not typical of what you would expect on the Spectrum. These are way off the chart.
Absolutely.
Spectrum. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we did get a couple Discord reviews for Starquake.
I'm interested to hear these because I didn't know how this was going to fare.
Yeah, if you are a Patreon supporter, you get access to our Discord server, and you too could post a review. Graham W. Webkey says, even though this game is tough to play, it reminds me of an Ultimate Play the Game title. There we go. On
You and
first
Graham.
look. The graphics are nice, sound effects are suitable, and it controls just fine, but you're often punished as soon as the screen loads. I like the title music, and being able to redefine the keys is a nice touch.
Oh, yeah.
I ended up needing a trainer, and overall, if things were less brutal, this would have been more fun with all those different screens to explore. 6 out of 10. Chris Fold says, another game I remember playing as a kid and got nowhere fast. Fast forward 30 years, and guess what? I still suck at it. That aside, it has its charms, lovely graphics, decent sound effects, and rock-hard gameplay fitting at the time and genre. Sadly mean, without those nostalgia spectacles, it's too brutal for me. 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm going to fall in line.
I think that if the enemies would have been a little bit less aggressive, and if they would have moved along, and like if you would have had some like ground-based enemies that weren't quite so just coming right for you all the time, that was really the worst part for me that really stopped me from playing more than I did.
You know what I'd like to see? A difficulty variance where you adjust the number of overall screens. I'm talking like instead of having 512, start like 64.
I think that's a great idea.
128, 256. Make it adjustable because if you're like me, and by the way, there's no quick game of this.
No.
You know, I mean, can you beat this in a half hour if you know what you're doing? Yeah. But I mean, otherwise you're going to languish and get lost. It was just too much for me. This one though, I think I can understand the appeal. I think part of it's just a different era of players. When you're buying games that are bent to last, and this game would have given you a lot of bang for your buck back in '85.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do want to thank our awesome supporters, our Patreon supporters, our Spectrum supporters that keep this show running week after week. Cap'n Crispy, Laurent Giroux, Gary Heather, Eric Nelson, Harbo Knott, Graham Vebke, Frodo NL, Tapes from the Crypt, Pixels at Dawn, Chris Folds, Paul Harrington, and Christopher Hassel. And a special shout out to our Clives Club members that chose this game for us this week.
It was definitely interesting, Bo, that's for
Yeah.
sure. We should also probably mention on here that we are beginning a new voyage into onto a different system. Starting probably next month, we'll be looking at the Dragon 32 / TRS-80 color computer. We're going to be doing a monthly show where we look at probably a couple games on there, and it will be coming out in the near future. And it's the Coco Show.
Yeah.
So it should be a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to exploring some of the games from across the pond in the UK that were released in the Dragon 32 that I'm not familiar with. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. We're going to record a quick intro episode. By the time you hear this, if you want to subscribe, you can either punch it into iTunes if I can get it in the system, or go over to thecocoshow.net and you can find a direct RSS link there.
Right on.
Aaron, next week, you're going to love this.
Oh, boy.
We're going to play Popeye.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, one of your favorite arcade
Oh,
games.
man, I'm excited about that.
We're going to see how the Spectrum port of this Nintendo Classic holds up.
It's funny because we were just talking about the Coco.
Yeah.
The Coco has an excellent clone of this game called the Sailor Man.
Mm-hmm.
So, and as far as I'm concerned, that's the clone. That's the 8-bit version that all others will be judged against.
Yeah.
And I've not played the Specky version. So this is very exciting. I can't wait.
Yeah, so until then, guys, keep on playing the Specky and rewind tape.
And press play. Good choice. Popeye.
Yeah, well, it's all the Clives Club,
That's
guys.
gonna be great. I can't wait to try that. Good choice, boys. Anniversary show. I hope they rank the games. Oh man, I mean all the games pack. Anniversary episode. Do we have an anniversary coming up? Isn't that July?
We just I think this is episode 29, so we've got a ways
No,
to go.
I think it's talking
before.
about Amigos.
No, of this show.
Oh, so we got on 100 a
Yeah.
deal. We'll do that, Pack Billion.
Yeah.
If we make it to episode 100, we'll do it.
Where are you going?
I'm not going anywhere. I'm just adjusting
I
myself.
thought you were. All right. So now,
What are we
we're
doing
gonna do-
here? You gonna
we're
lead me by the hand
Yeah.
here? All right, beautiful.
Okay. Look, I can't get over that.
You get rid of the R. Sinclair.
Yeah. What we should do.
That is annoying. I don't know why they did that. I guess it shows you what window you've highlighted, because that is a pain.
Yeah, I'm sure that the guys
We'll
have
get
like
used to
multiple
it.
windows and
Yeah.
stuff. So okay, we need to. I called this Bruce Banner. I don't know why I did that. Okay, and then we're gonna pull down.
Our pants and just start dancing around.
Let's see. I'm gonna just pull this straight off. Because this is the only.
Man,
place
if
that
if it's Popeye wrestling, I'm out. I'm out, yo. Or Popeye 2, Popeye M. Ooh, nice logo. It's
Thank
wacky.
you.
That's the old Radio Shack font.
Yeah, it is.
Where'd you find that at?
The font.
Say it gangster style.
I did.
I mean, well,
How else? How?
the font. That's the gangster
Is that
style.
gangster style?
You said it dork style. The font.
Okay. I'll let you handle the gangster style.
It's Def Jam Fight for New York.
Hey man, it's funny. I didn't realize that Slayer was on Def Jam. That was
Yeah.
news to me.
Yeah, that was interesting. It's too bad Def Jam was inevitably doomed. The original version of Def Jam, anyway.
I didn't realize that Rick Rubin had all that legal trouble
Oh,
either.
you haven't been paying attention. He's like a
No.
legal trouble master. I think he shot some dudes, among
Oh,
other
wow.
things. See, look, James F. McKenzie is flashing gang signs
Wow.
in the chat room in honor of Def Jam.
Okay, this is perfect. Let's just record just like that.
So you guys haven't played the Specky version either? I'm surprised. I can't wait. That'll be fun. I like this game, but I was just confused and sad. It was hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't hard as in it was too hard to not die. It was too hard to figure out what was going on or where I was at. It's sort of the story of my life.
I had Popeye on the CPC.
wasn't anything like the platform. I wonder what Popeye on the CPC was, because
It was Popeye 2.
was Popeye wrestling?
Oh, man. No, bad.
Speaking of things you need to go back and re-record with your new setup, Popeye wrestling, #1 with a bullet.
I'll go back and re-record after watching your video, whatever that game was that you played with the paintbrush. Go back and
Oh yeah, bristles.
It
Man,
looked like that guy was radioactive. It's not your fault. That's the exact same thing mine was doing.
yeah. Well, like I said, and it's weird too. Like I'll get degradation and I'll have to unplug the thing and plug it back in.
You know what you need to do? Find the VCR. Let it guide your actions.
No, I've got a VCR.
No, the VCR that made all this possible. Everything's happening because of that one VCR.
So you're running through the VCR
and out
then
the S video.
and out the S video and then into the S video to HDMI.
No, and then right into
the capture card. See, I don't if.
It's crystal clear.
Well, here's what you just need to do. What we did last time when you brought your gimmick, bring the VCR, bring it back. We'll try it out. Well, I mean that's the only way I'll know because I'm not going to blow. You know how much those VCRs are?
$10.
They're a major wad.
I'll find you this VCR.
Okay.
And for like $5, buy it.
Okay.
Shipped here, you're done. This is the key to your success.
Okay. Hey, if it can do the Coco, it can do anything.
It can do everything, man. It does the Atari great.
All right.
Let's do it. I'm ready. What are we playing this week?
Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 0 of The Coco Show. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And this is just kind of a placeholder episode so you can subscribe to the RSS feed before the official episode 1. But I thought we'd talk a little bit about why we're doing a show about the TRS-80 color computer. Aaron, tell me, why are you into the Coco?
Well, Boatster, when I grew up, my parents had the wisdom and the knowledge and wherewithal to know that computers are going to be the wave of the future. And so they knew that I needed to have something that would usher me forth in my young childhood to make me a man, a computer man. And so they went out with their hard-earned money and they bought me an Odyssey 2. And guess what? The Odyssey 2 wasn't no good for computers. It had some good games, but the computer version of it was crap. No good, did nothing. So then they had the common sense to go out and where do you go to get a computer in the early 80s? You know where you go? You go to Radio Shack, brother.
That's right.
That's where you get your batteries, right? That's where you get your remote control car. And
your
diodes. That's where you get your diodes. That's where you get your computers, man. Radio Shack.
Yeah.
And sure as I'm sitting here, Boat, they brought home a lovely, white, melted keyboarded TRS-80 Tandy color computer 2. Brought it to the house, 64 big K. Put it under the Christmas tree. And that year I opened that Coco. It was glorious. Glorious boat. And the Coco sat in our living room for about 6 months and no one touched it. Because we didn't know what to do with the color computer.
Sure.
All I could do was type in programs that I got out of Compute Magazine, and when you turn that sucker off, no more program, done. All right? You can only do it for so long and get bored.
Yeah.
All right? And my buddy down the street had an Atari 8-bit. It was awesome.
This Theo?
No, it wasn't Theo. It's my buddy Jason. And so I'm like, man, this guy's he's killing it down here. I got nothing. What am I doing? So then Dad knew a guy, the guy from work.
Yeah,
the guy from work.
The proverbial guy from work.
He was the hookup. He said, listen, you idiots, you need to get yourself a cassette player, and I'm going to set you up. And he did. And I had a buddy at karate that had tapes. And so we were pirating tapes. Because really, there wasn't that much to buy. I don't think I ever owned a single cartridge for the Coco.
When you would walk into the Radio Shack,
Yeah.
Back in the day when the Coco was being sold, approximately what percentage of the Radio Shack's shelf space was designated for Coco software?
I'd say 15 to 20%.
Okay, so
Not
it's substantial
software,
amount.
hardware, the whole 9
Okay.
yards. Because, hey, listen, you got to put huge boom boxes somewhere.
Yeah.
That takes up space, brother. And so once this guy hooked us up and said, listen, you get your cassette deck, set it up. So we did it. And my dad also had the wisdom to go out and get me a modem. The modem IB. I'll never forget this thing. It was a little white and gray box with a little one switch on it. Receive and answer. Put that thing, hook it to your phone line, bam. Then we waited another 6 months because we didn't realize you needed terminal software. We would just call up BBS on the phone, wait till they connected, hang up the phone, and then wait for things to happen on the screen. Nothing happened. We didn't know what community. We didn't know what we
Sure,
were doing.
how could you know?
So once again we consulted the dude. The dude's like, listen, you got to have some communication somewhere, you idiots. And then that was my first experience with BBSing. And I did the bulk of my BBSing on the Coco. And it was great. It was grand. The Coco did a good job with that sort of thing. And I used to have so much fun with my modem back in the old days. And eventually, like I said, I met some people that had double tape deck, set me up with some games. I was good to go. Then the dude set me up with about 30 discs full of stuff.
Oh, wow.
Which was awesome, except I did not have a disc drive.
Oh.
So for Christmas that year, Santa Claus, I love the jolly fat boy, he brought me a floppy drive with controller for the Coco. I hooked it up, and soon I was playing all the pirated games of the Rainbow. It was glorious, a glorious time. And I remember I was so in love with it, I picked the whole system up, took it to my grandma's for Christmas Day, set it all back up, took over the TV, played Coco games on it all day long, and that was it. I was off and running with the Coco. With discs, I was grabbing anything I could. And me and my brother ended up started getting stuff off the magazines. We would find pen pals, and we'd do mail swapping. I was a member of a Coco Underground fanzine for a while.
You got any of those left?
Oh man, I wish I had them. We even purchased some crazy stuff for the back of magazines, because back in those days it was crazy. Wrestle Crazy, I think was what it was called, and it was awesome game, and we had a great time with the Coco. And so years passed, and I begged my mom, please, Mom, for Christmas, get me a Color Computer 3. I gotta have it. 128K, the big memory boat.
It doesn't get any bigger.
It doesn't get any bigger than that. And who else would need more than that? And bam, here it comes. You could do lowercase on it.
Oof.
Yeah.
That's when
right.
you hit the big time.
That's right. I printed all my reports for school off on this thing. We had a Tandy printer. We were a Tandy family, brother. And the Coco was awesome. I had a lot of fun playing Pitfall 2 on it, and a few games that supported the Tandy Coco 3 exclusively. It was great. And then I saw the writing on the wall, which much like I saw the writing on the wall for the Amiga. And you hate that writing. And the writing says you're screwed in big, huge, multicolored letters that flash. And I told Dad, I was like, listen, Dad, we got to get rid of this Tandy. He's like, why? I was like, listen, these things are screwed. They're going away. The spotty sense was tingling. I had it back then. And so we picked all that computer stuff up and sold everything, the printer, the computer, all the discs.
$100, right?
My deluxe joysticks, the nice white ones. We sold all of it to a dude in Nitro for good money.
Oh, okay.
And we took that money and bought our first Tandy computer. That was a PC clone, which was a Tandy SL. So we had a Tandy SL, then we had a Tandy TL, and that was the computer that I had when I moved out. So we were a Tandy family almost from Jump Street, and it was great. And I had a lot of great times and great memories with the Tandy color computer. And it's a computer, I think, that's underserviced. People, anytime I hear the words trash 80, it makes me violently mad.
Yeah. I
can't tell you how many times I've complained to podcasts that use that term. So you will never hear me say that. And if he says it, he will get the old backhand. I love the Coco. It's been mocked. And mocked by people that didn't understand the vastness and the complexity of the library, which some great arcade clones, some very unusual games that went under the radar, plus a whole load of stuff from Europe that we saw only a fragment of here in the States. That was actually top shelf stuff on the Dragon 32, which I'm hoping we get to explore when we go down this road. So I'm very excited about examining the color computer. We have the ability now to dump some really good video from my color computer now. I've rebought a color computer 3. I've got the multi-pack. I've got the SD solution. I've got the memory expansion boat. I'm up to the big memory now. I'm up to the big
over
memory.
128K.
That's you got to go over that because something's coming.
Yeah.
And now we're ready. So all the moons and stars have aligned. It's time to do some Coco gaming.
All right. So the Coco Show, we will release these, every so often, maybe one a month. And each episode will cover a couple games, talk about them, and it'll be a real fun time. This is not a podcast about utilities.
No.
This is not a podcast about productivity software. This is not even a podcast really about hardware.
God, no.
This is about the games, and nothing but the games.
What do we do, Boat? On all of our podcasts, we got one thing we do. What is it?
We talk about games.
Games. Now, Boat, tell me your vast encyclopedic history with the color computer.
I played Ladybug once.
Bam. And that's all he needs. So you will get to see through the eyes of innocent young lad Boat as he lays his pupils on these games he's never seen before, and you get his honest results.
Right.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, so we have the Master and the Padawan. So tune in. You can check out our site is thecocoshow.net. You can subscribe to the podcast through iTunes, Stitcher, anywhere you want to, and you can listen and have fun. We also have Patreon at patreon.com/thecocoshow if you would like to support the show and bring us closer to our goal of actually making this a weekly podcast.
I will also mention that if you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, we'll be doing periodic Coco playthroughs of things. It's gonna be a lot of fun, Bowden, and we're gonna play some games, put some videos up, and along with the other content. If you have ever seen any of our other shows, we do the Amigos, Everything Amiga podcast, do our Sinclair, which is a ZX Spectrum show, and myself and Brent, my brother, do ARG Presents. And I think Brent will probably join us on this show every once in a while because he was also grew up with the Cocos. This is my brother, so it'll be a lot of fun, man.
It's going to be great. All right, guys. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on episode 1.
Bye-bye. We don't have nothing for that, do we?
No. Well, we don't need it. We don't need a sign off.
Every time we have to have a unique sign off. Come on, Coco to hell. You like it? Go on.
I love it.
Coco to hell.
Well, you know, I was looking as I was thinking about names for the show. The Coco Nuts is taken a million times.
Yeah.
You know, and I just typed in words that start with Coco.
Yeah.
And it was like co-convalescent. It's like, boy, that just rolls off the tongue. So yeah, when you turn on the Coco, what is displayed there?
A green screen with a cursor that says ready and the DOS information that comes up, the
okay.
Basic information.
Okay, so nothing that we can't use anything there.
No, God, no.
What was the
mean green? That's what it is, lime green.
What was the Coco's marketing slogan? Who marketed the Coco?
Tandy.
No, I mean like what famous person? Like, you know, Shatner did the Commodore.
I don't think any famous people did the Coco. Listen, this is a cut rate joint. Tandy wasn't gonna break out for any stars.
I like that, Duncan. Go Coco.
Coco sounds sort of like cocaine. We could use that, can't we? We can spell it cocaine. No, it doesn't work, does it? There's no way to make that work.
Yeah, the French coquevin.
Wow, that is Pack boy. He's some kind of international man of wonder.
Coquette. That's a thing.
No, it's not.
Yeah, coquette. It's a food.
Yeah, but what's that to do with the cocoa?
You're right. I was
See, if this was a dragon podcast, we'd be laughing.
Oh, yeah. We'd be breathing fire till the cows come home.
We could call it Dragon Ass.
I almost wish we could stop what we're doing right now and just start from the beginning of today so we can set all that up. That would be a great April Fool's, you know, launching a new...
you didn't tell the people that this came together in about 4 hours?
Yeah. Well, it came to me when I was this morning with the band, and as I was leading them through the B-flat scale.
Coco the Lion. You mean my message came in right about that time?
Yeah. And then I just started thinking, hot cocoa?
That was our magazine. Yeah.
We'd say, taste the rainbow. Nobody's ever...
No one's used that one.
Yeah.
All right, boys.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for coming up. We love you.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Kisses. Bye-bye.